Better word. Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar. And maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Do you want to walk and stay healthy, but cannot because you are in pain?
I just had difficulty walking. I could not walk in bare feet at all.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts from the drugstore with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet Store.
The Good Feet system fits in all your shoes, so come to the Good Feet Store and become pain-free today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet Store.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
The Dell Technologies Labor Day event is here. Start a season of productivity with up to 48% off Bostro laptops with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade by calling 877-ASK-DELL.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet, first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
With Odyssey music stations, there's a different station for every taste, and they're all free. Listen to 97.1 live on your phone or browse the selection of music stations and make a soundtrack to your workday. It's all at Odyssey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey after this long Labor Day weekend. I have a book review. Maybe we'll talk about this. I finally read a book this weekend. I don't read a lot of books. I normally read a lot of online stories, news stories, magazines, studies, things like that. But I read The Disney Revolt. This is a good one. I'll have to tell you guys about it. I didn't realize that the artists for Disney had a giant strike that almost crippled the studio and put them under. Did you know that?
When was
Back
this?
in the day? 1940s. We're talking during the war. And for the most part, that big labor dispute was lasting longer than they thought. Disney was in massive debt. I'll have to share some of the things here because the Disney we know today may not exist if this labor dispute would have went on any further. But welcome back from Labor Day. How you guys doing?
Good. It's been a good weekend. It's good because we didn't do much. How about you?
You ate wings?
We did. Yeah, we did. I actually went to Midwest Wing Fest twice on Friday night and on Saturday between the rain. And
you put on a disguise for the second time.
Put on a mustache over my real mustache, so nobody knew who I was.
It's the Groucho
This
Marx
is my
glasses.
first time here.
Yeah, I've never been here before. I've got an
What do you
accent,
say?
so you know I'm not from here.
Did you put down 150 wings like Joey Chestnut would during
man.
these competitions?
No. I didn't quite eat 150, although I would say maybe 125.
Oh man, you were close.
I know.
I mean, that's not bad. I mean, it gives you a shot at the championship, but you're not going to take the king out with numbers like that. You got to pump them up. It sounds like fun. We'll have to talk about that later in the show too. Can I mention? I saw this one story, and I'm just going to tell you right away. The city that I'm about to describe to you is not St. Louis. So I want you to play a game, and you can play at home. I'm going to play the start of this news story, and you have to guess what city is it.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. Here is the start of the story.
Drug use, garbage, rats, and violence became an all too common sight outside the homes in this neighborhood off Southeast 80th and Rhine.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, there's folks that are, smoking meth, they're shooting up, there's domestic violence. And it's like, it's absolutely absurd.
Nathan Lamb has lived in the neighborhood for 6 years.
There's multiple times where you have to come out with slumped over individuals and say, hey, my son's handicap bus is coming in about 5 minutes. Can you please move along?
All right. So negotiating with slumped over meth heads in front of your home. So what city are we talking about? You want to take a guess?
You go first.
I'm going to say Los Angeles.
Okay, next.
Mine would have been San Francisco, but I'm going to go with the dark horse here and say Philadelphia.
Oh, so close, so close. This was Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Portland. Okay.
I know. How could you forget about all of the issues with drug use and camping out in front of home? San Francisco is a solid guess. Philadelphia is really they're coming up. I mean, if they're trying to get higher in the rankings of homeless issues with drugs in front of residential areas, then Philadelphia is where you look.
They're doing a great job. I'd keep an eye on Baltimore, too. They got a great farm system.
Making moves.
Yeah, they're making moves. This is the story, but obviously you need to hear both sides of the story, right? Because you don't want to necessarily judge a book by its cover by only listening to one side. This lady, by the way, also lives in the neighborhood. And she's given another account of this to try to show you that the first account is accurate.
We're done with Portland. Yeah, so we're moving over there.
Watching the camps get cleared doesn't change her mind.
We've had many camps moved out of here, and as soon as they clear them out, they move right back in.
All right, so far we've had 2 testimonies, both of which not too complimentary with the way Portland is handling the homeless in front of their neighborhood. And just looking at this neighborhood, we're not talking about a slum area. But much like San Francisco, Los Angeles, places where they're just creating these camp cities with tents everywhere. You notice that along with it are a lot of drug issues and violence. And the last thing you want to do is step out of your house and have to always look down out of the fear of stepping on a syringe with who knows what's inside. But then again, we only heard from 2 sides of the story. I think it's important that we do hear from the homeless and hear what their side of the story is. This is KGW8 in Portland.
Drug use, garbage, rats.
Oh, that's the wrong clip. Here's the homeless.
Now, Mary, you guys bringing down the property damage, but this lady don't want to see the you know what I mean?
She tells us watching the city clear the site gives them no incentive to leave the area or go into shelter.
I mean, it's like, well, thank you for cleaning up the tampons and the booty juice and the, you know what I'm saying, the shaham shalom that's left on the ground. We appreciate that. But 2 seconds later, all that about to be back on the ground. You know what I mean? Because we don't have a place to stay. We're on drugs, and that's just what it is, you know?
All right. So, hey, listen, you don't understand. We don't have a place to put our booty juice, which I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I don't really want to know.
Okay. So this is Portland, Oregon. You've heard both sides of the argument. Let's say you are the judge in a case and you listen to one side and the guy's like, hey, I have to wake up a passed out meth head so the bus can pick up my disabled child in front of the property I own. And then you listen to the other side, which is, you don't understand. I have no place to put my booty juice. And then you're the judge and you have to decide which side here deserves a remedy. Who's right in a situation like this? Which side would you pick?
I would say the people who own the property, if that's one of the choices,
Mm-hmm.
that they have the right to not let people be there and bother them.
You want to guess which side the city of Portland chose?
Oh gosh, no.
I don't know that I have to guess.
Yeah, we don't have to guess.
It's Portland.
Okay,
We already know.
You don't have to. It's Portland. So you are correct. The city of Portland decides that they don't have to rehouse these people and they don't really want to hassle them. So the poor guy, he's like, I've had to call 150 times. They'll send someone over in a U-Haul truck to clean up the garbage, but they essentially just create more garbage and stay in the same spot. So they're not fixing the situation or giving any remedy to it. They're just allowing the homeless to continue to overdose in front of these people's homes. The only difference is they bring new booty juice in to dispose of in front of their house. They just clean up the old one for them.
There's so many different issues converging to cause this one issue. Some of it would be related to drugs. Some of that would be related to the border. Some of this is related to not enforcing crime or the city's not doing anything about, this problem in particular, but there's a lot of other problems that filter into it. I do want to make one point about this that really concerns me, because this news story, this is ridiculous. And this is an example of how ridiculous it's gotten across the country. Because like you played the game, it could have been any city. I mean, this is happening all over the place.
Oh yeah.
The problem that I'm seeing, and I'm talking very much personally to me, I live in the suburbs. I live in Illinois. And I've heard people say this, and I'm starting to see that this is true, that if you think this problem is confined to cities, it's not. It's coming to a city near you. And I don't know about you guys.
I was just talking to my wife about this.
Really?
Yes.
It's starting to come to suburbs now. And it's not necessarily on my street, but it's in the downtown part of the city now, much more than it used to be.
Well, I was at an intersection in Illinois, close to where I live, and I looked at my wife because there was a panhandler there. Is that politically incorrect? I don't know.
Probably.
So there was a homeless person there begging for money and had a sign up and all that other stuff. And I asked my wife, I was like, when was the last time you remember seeing somebody at this particular intersection doing this? And she couldn't remember. And for me, it was the very first time that I'd ever seen anything like that. And I'm like, it is amazing to me how quickly things went from what they were to what they are now. And it seems like nobody cares.
Yep. Massive housing issues. The price to own or rent in some of these cities, these coastal cities, are astronomical.
That's another one. Yeah. That's another issue feeding into this.
Yeah.
It plays all into it. People try to escape from this sort of thing, but they find that it's politically incorrect to escape from it because, hey, here you are harassing the homeless. Well, who are you to say this person down on their luck? What are you trying to remove them for? You're the bad guy for looking at the scenario and upset because they're spilling booty juice out in front of your home, whatever that means. I've said it 4 times. I haven't come any closer to learning what it is, and I'm not going to Google it. So, and I would also encourage everyone else not to Google it because you don't know what you're going to find.
When she said that, I was listening to see if she gave an explanation for it. And it sounded like right after, it wasn't this, but it was really close to, she said, yeah, they're booty juice. They're out there doing their Shabbat Shalom or something. I mean, it sounded like she said something that was Hebraic. And I'm like, what is this? Nothing is making sense.
No, it doesn't. But that's a whole different vernacular. All the homeless have certain terminology I'm sure they use within their circles that we don't quite know. I'm in the city of, I should say that in the city of St. Louis, I haven't had any issue when it came to the homeless in the sense that I didn't necessarily feel dangerous around them. Driving into the radio station, even late at night, I was more concerned with people going around shooting other people or someone stealing a car and blindsiding me or trying to mug me. I didn't really have any feelings the homeless were going to harass me. But that is different in so many other different cities. A lot of times, out of desperation, they're doing this for drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is, and they're not getting what they want, panhandling, which could cause a whole nother issue. And it's a whole lot different when you live in that area. Downtown St. Louis, would you say, has a really big, outside of Washington Avenue and some of these other places, there are people that live downtown, but so many people don't want to live downtown because they understand there's all these other problems associated with living downtown. That's why they move out. And I know, let me make this other point too. There has been other accusations, and this is what I found to be very true, is that the homeless get bussed around between the county and the city. Sometimes they move them into a different area. Sometimes they move the homeless to North County. Sometimes the county moves them inside of the city. And sometimes even police will be doing this escorting because the police say, we're just trying to help this guy out. He said he wanted to get closer to someone he knows, maybe get some services or whatever it is. They think they're doing the person a favor. Other people look at it as them just shuffling around the homeless in order to get them out of the affluent areas or get them out of places where they're not welcome. And it reminded me a little bit of some of the different busing that we're seeing between Texas and New York and Chicago, where they're saying, you know what, if you don't think this is a problem, then here, go ahead, you can deal with it. How long before you think we'll see it become more acceptable, much like how Texas is busing migrants from the border, large metropolitan cities saying, you know what, we are spending too much money on homeless services. We're just going to bus them to some of our surrounding area, and this will come into a home near you.
Well, that's a good question. Although I think the difference here that we're talking about, maybe there is a precedent being set to say, well, if the border states, those Republicans are going to do it, then we're going to do it back to them or something like that. But I think that the numbers are just so totally different. You're talking about such a mass.
True.
In the last 2 years, you're talking about 2 million people per year in this year and 2021 who have crossed the border illegally that we know of. That's encounters with Border Patrol agents that they've had. So it's probably more than that. And we're only halfway through this year. So the numbers that you'd have to bus of illegal migrants versus homeless, I don't think you'd make as much of a dent.
However, though, if you're busing homeless people, even if it's smaller numbers, to smaller communities, which is what they would have to do, send them out of the major metropolitan areas into the suburban areas. Those areas are smaller communities, so the numbers would have maybe
a greater impact,
a bigger impact, or the same kind of impact that those migrant numbers are having in those major cities. But I wanted to ask you guys, because like the whole argument about this is, well, you're not being compassionate. But are we really being compassionate by leaving these people to their own devices and what is very clearly harmful behavior to themselves? Because that lady in that interview said, we're out here, we don't have any place to go, and we're all on drugs. Wouldn't the compassionate thing to do be to get them help, not just let them do whatever they wanted?
Ooh, this is what I found. There are homeless that want help. Sometimes you find the newly homeless, as in they lost their house because of a circumstance of, I don't know, medical debt, whatever. There could be issues where they found themselves homeless for the first time, and they're welcome in hoping for help. And then you find the ones that are chronically homeless who have addictions and other problems, demons in their life, where they almost prefer to stay homeless because they understand that what's more important to them is that next high or whatever it is. And they don't want to receive help and services because there's rules associated with that, and they don't want to follow those rules. So when I look at it, I think the compassionate thing would be to help them. And the cities do offer a lot of services. There's just so many of them that don't want help. They just refuse to help whatsoever. So I don't even know how you turn that around.
Right.
To me, it's beyond compassion. It's like you could offer it to them. That's compassion.
Mm-hmm.
You can't force them to take it.
Right. And I guess my point would be is like, this is what we have for you. If you need help, I am not going to allow you to stay here and mess up these people's property or screw up these people's lives. You don't have that right either. And so we've provided these opportunities for you. And then if they don't want to take advantage of those opportunities, you're not being uncompassionate by moving them out or clearing them out.
Mm-hmm. There's not enough policing that you could, what are you going to do if 50 people set up in one location? If they're out of sight, out of mind, that seems to be the location where they don't get hassled. You see this on the riverfront. How many times have you heard stories here in St. Louis where normally what would be prime real estate for any developer in any other city that's not St. Louis, they would just be dying for an opportunity to try to get on the Mississippi. But instead, what we have is a homeless basically hanging out in these areas because people don't want to develop in these areas because there's just too much of a problem in the downtown area with crime, and people don't want to invest money that's going to get very little support from the city. They also don't want to have to deal with all the other things that come with it. So you find the homeless hang out in one area, they're out of sight, prime real estate on the river, and then no one bothers them. And that seems to be the better solution to it. And as long as they're not shooting each other.
And you've already said this, but these problems, you can't just deal with the symptom of the problem. You got to deal with the root of the problem. Mm-hmm. And nobody's dealing with most of the roots of these problems. Some of them national issues, some of them local, but nobody's really dealing with the roots. So once you get down to what do we do with the homeless people because there's 100 people camping in the park outside the building, well, at that point, you've already lost the battle.
Right.
Because you didn't deal with it for miles before you got to this point.
All right. Regan Deering is running for Congress in Illinois' 13th district. We'll speak with her coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. Told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. 97.1, your continuing home of free speech in St. Louis. It's free and fair. 97.1 FM Talk. Keep it locked in right here. The place for discussion. The place for ideas.
It's the best offer of the year at Diamonds Direct. 5 years, 0 interest financing. And this weekend, the focus is on Veragio. Handcrafted in New York, Veragio is the only bridal designer that allows you to truly personalize your ring from the inside out. We've flown in the entire Veragio collection for this special event, so come and express your individual style. This Friday and Saturday, discover the Veragio difference and enjoy 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Hi, it's Scott and Andrea at Best Buy Flooring.
Wow, that's hot.
What happened?
Our summer deals are on fire.
Oh, you mean the carpet, vinyl plank, vinyl tile, ceramic, sheet vinyl, carpet tile, and hardwood all in stock?
Yes, 2 locations, 7301 North Lindbergh in Hazelwood, Missouri, and 1851 West US Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois. Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Our national debt is now over $30 trillion, an increase of over 20% in just the past 2 years. I'm sure you've been told at some point that taxes will be lower when you retire, but do you truly believe that? Now is the time to begin planning for the future of tax increases. Is your financial advisor helping you with tax planning for a tax-efficient future? If not, this is the time to call me, Ken Heisey, at Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000. If you're like most people, you have a portfolio of investments, but a portfolio is not a plan. How have you planned for the potential legislative risk of increased taxes? Call Heisey Advisory Group now and let us help you create a plan to reduce the tax risk in your retirement. 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through A Wealth Management, LLC.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 877-560-8555. 877-560-8555 or visit sickvets.com. That's sickvets.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me, was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit, and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
The med spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the med spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Oh, mama, don't play now, baby.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie today. You can find me online, Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. If you want to go follow that, would be very nice. She's running for Congress, Illinois' 13th District, Regan Deering. Thank you so much for coming on to 97.1 here today. Hello. Oh, Regan, are you there?
Hey, Ryan. Yes, I lost you for a minute during the introduction.
Regan, the number 4, Congress.com. So there's a lot of issues that are going on. And one of the first things I asked our producer, Brad, about, okay, this 13th district, it's a new thing. So I had to look at the territories and the way it was out. And there's a lot of college towns and college students that live in that Illinois 13th district, the new one. And it made me wonder with the student loan forgiveness, what your take is on that. And is it popular in areas where there's a lot of college students, or is it not so popular, as other people have pointed out, that really this is a big stinker of a proposal?
Well, you are absolutely right. There are a number of higher ed institutions in this gerrymandered 13th congressional district. So being out on the trail, we have heard both sides of the argument. I think those that are at the universities are thrilled to be able to have some relief from the Biden administration. But at the same time, a lot of hardworking families and college graduates in my district are pretty frustrated with just, the reckless spending that's going to wipe out student debt, up to $125,000 per individual. So we're looking at $10,000 and $20,000. And it doesn't feel fair that maybe, in fact, we have a variety of responses, those that didn't get to go to college and made some sacrifices, maybe went into the trades, or you have people that did take on the responsibility of a student loan debt and have paid it back or are working hard to pay it back. Or, for example, veterans that have maybe gone into the military to help cover the cost of their education and aren't necessarily getting that relief now that they have paid the other sacrifice in taking care of those loans. So I do feel like it's a varied conversation for those in my district, but more importantly, I think everyone can agree that it doesn't even touch how higher ed costs are continuing to go up, and would it in fact encourage them to continue to raise prices because they are going to recoup some of these costs through Biden's sweeping act.
Yes. In fact, I think it's very likely that they'll use this as an opportunity to say it could happen again in the future. But we've been flirting with this idea of student loan forgiveness for a while. Who's to say the universities haven't artificially inflated their prices for the past decade in anticipation of a moment like this? They, could have forced the hand knowing that the government could have wrote a check in the future. So ultimately, are they responsible? Absolutely, they're responsible. I think the amount of money they charge, you cannot defend that. So using us, the taxpayer, to make up for the terrible pricing structures of universities is, number one, I think, immoral. But let's look at it this way, too. This doesn't really factor in the ability for that individual to repay those loans. So it may not even be helping people that need it or not. This could be giving a big break to those that are in a higher tax bracket, and their earning potential over the course of the rest of their life will be a lot higher than those that didn't go to college. That's what you're giving a tax cut to, the ones that are going to be in the upper class because of their college education and the courses they took to begin with. So yeah, there's a lot of people upset with that. I don't even know. Is it even a big deal when you go campaign? Do people bring it up? Is this something that, for the most part, is a moot point?
No, I think people are definitely talking about it. I actually got a handwritten note from a gentleman in Sangamon County that said he was motivated to send a contribution to me by his words, the reckless spending by President Biden today. He ended his note by saying, when you get there as a member of Congress, please just be responsible. And I think that that's what's really frustrating to people, is that we have an administration that is spending our taxpayer dollars, just recklessly deciding what he's going to advocate for. And people are really hurting. We have record high inflation. We have, household budgets that are trying to figure out how to pay groceries, how to pay gas. And they're making some hard decisions. And it just doesn't feel fair that the administration, with the stroke of a pen, is going to take an opportunity to just wipe away debt for a select group of people.
Yeah, we got a lot of issues in the United States right now, inflation being one of them. And I know a lot of countries are dealing with other problems based on post-pandemic economies. But for us in the United States, we've spent a lot of money on stimuluses. We see inflation as high as it's ever been in my entire life. And we're looking at what, 8% if we are lucky. And we're almost like, oh, wow, that feels like a break from as high as it's been. And there may even be more numbers manipulated. It drives me crazy when I look at President Biden's justifications. Oh, everything's so great. Compared to where we were during the pandemic, we're doing fantastic. Well, no, actually, we haven't got even close to where we were pre-pandemic. People are paying a lot more money for pretty much everything in their life, and that is killing them in their savings. And then I learned your opponent is one of those magical manipulators of the economy when it came to the Office of Budgets and Management. He was the chief of staff for them, and that's who's helping your opponent.
Yeah, she absolutely was the chief of staff for his OMB office, which made her, complicit and responsible for basically everything that came out of that office. He has had, not much luck in getting things through Congress. So he's just decided by executive order, he's going to pass these things. We have bills like the Inflation Reduction Act that aren't, in fact, doing anything to help our middle class families right now. And so when she says something like she's celebrating his successes, and then at the same time, her first solution is to do away with the quote Trump tax cuts. I don't think that that's realistic and what's going to help our working class families. We do have record high inflation. We do have people struggling. And so here in Central Illinois, the numbers just prove that middle class families were provided relief from those tax cuts as well, on average over $1,000. And that goes a long way when we are really struggling to make ends meet. And so I think it's just a nuanced language for her that she's, trying to make Trump the bad guy and Biden the angel that's saving our communities. But this really isn't what happens. And I know that members of Congress have a responsibility to the people to go in and talk about good use of those taxpayer dollars. As you mentioned, stimulus checks have been going on for 2 years. You wouldn't believe how many employers I talked to that would love to pay someone, a federal minimum wage here in Illinois of $15 an hour, but they just can't find people. We've sort of lost that motivation to work, and that's whether you're talking about the agriculture industry, the retail industry, the manufacturing industry. They're desperate for workers. So while we can, have passage of bills and executive orders that are catchy and are getting prepared for swinging the vote in November, the reality is our families are still feeling left behind by this government.
Regan Deering is joining us here on 97.1 FM Talk. She is running for Congress, Illinois' 13th district. Can I ask you a couple of things that worry me? When you see California start to push certain things, certain incentives, there's other more liberal states that say, oh, that's a good idea. We should do that here. In California, they're pushing away the sale of gas vehicles and trying to force the hand of electric. And now they're running into energy issues because they can't keep up with demand, and to the point where they're saying, if you don't have to charge your electric vehicle, don't. And a lot of people are looking at that as a scary, ominous future for future states. In Illinois, I wonder, because, hey, if it's happening in California, states like Illinois sometimes follow suit. There has to be things that you're seeing happening in very liberal places like California that probably worry you in the future of Illinois and probably motivate you to really want to get in office to try to stop those things.
You're absolutely right. Governor Pritzker has made no secret that he is looking to make Illinois, a renewable energy state in a very short amount of time. And all we have to do is look to California as a perfect example. I was reading about their big push for EVs, and yet, they're having a heat wave. So now they're under an energy emergency and asking people to conserve their energy, including not charging those said EVs over the weekend. This is ridiculous. We've got to be able to have, a comprehensive energy plan here in Illinois, Pritzker's CEJA plan, which was spearheaded, in fact, by my opponent, in reality is hurting our working families. We're losing those great jobs in the fossil fuel industry in hopes of, pushing through some wind and solar. I do appreciate the transition towards, responsible energy drivers, but we can't forget that, 80% of our operations still reliant on fossil fuels. So we can't just keep moving the goalposts saying we're going to provide opportunities for renewable energies that just can't stand in the gap. Here in Illinois, we're talking about brownouts this summer.
Scary.
You know,
I know we saw that.
it is scary
all over. Yeah, and let's look at Europe and what they're experiencing right now because they prematurely tried to abandon the fossil fuels, what they call dirty energy, and right now they're paying the price for it after one of their energy sources, natural gas, was being shut off from Russia. And when they found that their electric bills were coming in, they're paying 10 times or something along those lines. Could you imagine whatever you're paying right now for your energy bill, add a zero to the end of that? Who can afford that anymore? So that's just the type of consequences of prematurely forcing the hand like we're seeing in California right now. And that does worry me. In places like Missouri, I feel like we could be pretty safe, but Illinois, probably not. I mean, they could take suit there, and that should scare a lot of people.
Yeah, there's definitely been early indications that we are, in fact, going to have an energy crisis, especially here in central and southern Illinois. You know, as I mentioned, we're just not being responsible in balancing our efforts. You know, we have an administration that has vocally been, on an attack on the American energy sector. I mean, his office, one of the first measures they had, which was tied to my opponent as well, was canceling the Keystone Pipeline. You know, we're not allowing drilling. We're not following up on those leases. And so those, suggested proposals for him are coming true. And here in Illinois, we are going to see the consequences as well. We've got to be able to balance our energy infrastructure and our sources of energy, especially here in central and southern Illinois, when we've got, great jobs that are in those fossil fuels. And should we take those things offline, we're going to decimate whole small towns. There is no replacement for that work, and it's going to be a direct impact on their economy. So, really we need some legislators that are going to be responsible. We're going to consider all the factors. We're going to get the right people at the table and challenge them to find a good path forward instead of just continuing to push for renewable energy in unrealistic timelines.
Regan Deering, if people wanted to look you up online, where can they go?
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier our website is Regan4Congress.com. We're also on multiple social media sites, and we're really looking forward to meeting more people throughout the district. So send us a message or a note and where we can come find you and talk to a group of people in your area as well. Our families are really hurting, and a lot of these issues are top of mind, and they want to know that they have an elected official that has sort of walked the walk. I'm a resident of Illinois. I'm raising my family here. We want to stay here. And so, we want to be able to get cost of living down here in Illinois. A lot of that comes from taxes. We want to feel safe in our communities. We want to send our kids to great schools. So most of voter issues top of mind are same for me here and my family as well. So I'm dedicating myself to go to Washington and advocate for the people.
Very good. Regan Deering, you can find, again, her online, Regan4Congress.com, and on social media, running for Congress in Illinois' 13th District. Good luck to you, and thank you for coming on to 97.1 FM Talk. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Have a great rest of your week.
Me too. Yeah, this crisis that we're seeing in Europe right now is really scary. The gas pipeline from Russia getting cut off with really no indication they're going to open that bad boy back up is, life and death situation for a lot of people. Here with the Keystone Pipeline and then cutting off energy from Russia, supposedly, not a full clean cutoff like they're doing with the gas pipeline in Europe, but still, we saw energy prices go from, just look at the price of the pump up to almost $5 a gallon. We saw other issues, but at least for the sake of the United States, we had other options, and we were still not quite energy independent, but we were a lot better off than some of these other countries that are much more dependent on foreign sources. Just imagine here in the United States, if we try to force the energy, at least for renewables, we can't keep up with demand, much like they did over in Europe. In that part of the world, they say, we don't want nuclear energy. Oh, that's bad. Well, here in the United States, luckily, we still have that. In fact, we should probably be reinvesting in that because that is a clean, safe method of energy. And if you really want to help the environment, those are the things that you really need to be asking, as opposed to saying, how about we put a tax incentive on for you to put solar panels on or buy an electric car? That is not as efficient or even financially stable idea for most families, or even reachable financial idea for most families. Why try to force the hand of those things when there are much more practical and pragmatic ways you could be handling energy? But that's not what we're doing. We're trying to force the hand the other way. And ultimately, what I'm afraid is that we're going to be stuck in the same situation Europe was. We're going to cut off these options that are energy efficient financially friendly. And then we're going to put ourselves in the corner, much like Dirty Dancing. We'll put the United States in the corner, and we're not going to have any other option to turn to. And then we'll really be in trouble. That's what we have to avoid when you prematurely and try to force the hand get to these other issues. And even someone that is so into energy independence, into renewable energies, Elon Musk, he's the guy that runs Tesla and all these other things. And he says we have to save the planet. So he puts his own money up and he tries to revolutionize really that industry. He even said we're too quickly moving away from some of these other energy sources. And it's foolish for us to do that prematurely because it just costs too much money in the long run when we're trying to force all of the other solar stuff. These are really big warning signs that we're ignoring right now. And that's why we need people that understand these warning signs, can do adjust to it, as opposed to forcing the hand. And so often it's a lot of the left-leaning, very democratic areas that are forcing the hand that you need to watch out for. Wiggins America, very popular segment coming up right after the break. I'm Ryan Recker filling in for Annie Frey on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You gon' make me hit you with that lay down, baby. Oh, say, now, baby.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Now, Ryan Schmelz, has there been any reporting on who might be candidates to be the special master in this case? You need somebody who is a real expert in that, like, I don't know, Hillary Clinton? No. I'm just kidding.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomesaintlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
It will be the summer of joy in Chicago.
Instead, the trio of Pritzker, Lightfoot, and Fox have made this another summer of murder, mayhem, and chaos.
My granddaughter FaceTimed us saying, "Help me, Daddy's shot." And then he stood over him and they executed him. And then they shot at her.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker, the lawlessness of Chicago will soon be the law statewide. Pritzker's so-called Safety Act makes Illinois a safe haven for violent criminals. That's why 100 of Illinois' 102 county state's attorneys oppose Pritzker's mandatory release of alleged murderers, kidnappers, and arsonists. Prosecutors like Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow.
It's going to be literally the end of days.
And prosecutors like DuPage County State's Attorney Bob Berlin.
We are going to have violent criminals out on the street.
Stop Chicago violence from coming to your town. Vote no on J.B. Pritzker. Paid for by people who play by the rules PAC.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a week right here on 97.1 Talk FM. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DH Hill Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Becky.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Maybe even one in Susie's room, too. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Right now is the perfect time to call Zero Res to deep clean and refresh your carpets, air ducts, upholstery, and more. Call 314-474-2020. Get the Mark Reardon special. 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. 474-2020.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. You can join the live video stream. It would be nice if you left a comment there or even followed me on Facebook, Ryan Recker Radio. One of my favorite segments when I get a chance to fill in is Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! All right, Ryan Recker, I'm going to ask you a question here, putting you on the spot a little bit.
Great.
But if I had to ask you, and Brad, you can answer this too, who is your favorite or favorites Republican governors? Who would you say and why?
It's a good question. DeSantis.
Yeah,
I'll say DeSantis.
Figured he'd come up.
He's probably number one on my list.
The question then is,
right
why would he be your favorite?
Go ahead, Ryan.
There's a reason I think DeSantis has a real opportunity to break through is because he has that sort of okay, let me back up. Donald Trump had something that a lot of other politicians didn't have, which was, I know that this is what people feel, and it may not be correct or politically appropriate to bring up at times, but if I think this is the right thing, we're going to do it. And he forced it through. Ron DeSantis is like that too. He'll take very controversial things in Florida and he'll say, I don't care that there's a lot of people on the other side calling me names. Wrong is wrong. We're not putting up with it. Not a lot of politicians play that game. A lot of them would shy away from it. They would sit on the fence and they would think that this is a numbers game. We just have to stick to the game plan. Ron DeSantis isn't like that. And I like that. I like that he's one of those, we're going to get out in front of this. And I don't care if they're calling me names. We're still doing it.
Yeah. And my, including all of what you just said, because I agree with that 100%, Ryan. I really like how he is. He's a fighter, but he's more of a boxer. He's very methodical in the way that he fights back. He doesn't just call names and stuff like that. Whenever a reporter comes up and tries to trap him, he responds, but he doesn't respond with an outrage or an outburst. He disavows them of their little narrative, and then he explains with facts, like, this is what's actually happening, and this is what you're trying to say is happening, and that. And so he does it, but he does it in a way that isn't as abrasive as Donald Trump.
Well, that's very interesting to hear. And I thought you might say, even both of you might say DeSantis, but I was interested in the why. Because what you said, Ryan, if I'm quoting you correctly, you said he believes right is right, wrong is wrong, and he's willing to act accordingly and not sit and wait for the numbers. And right. I think that's very, very important. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people get on a lot of the other Republican governors for not doing, not being active when you know something is right and not waiting for polling to come in, wait to see how it plays politically, just doing it. Doug Ducey of Arizona has been one of those governors who's taken a lot of heat for that. But he's doing something now that he should have done a while ago. So I'm not going to give him full praise, but he is doing it. So the story is Arizona has begun stacking shipping containers to close 1,000-foot gap in the U.S.-Mexico border wall. So you're talking about those big, the backs of diesel trucks, basically, that they're putting 2 and sometimes 3 high along gaps in the border wall.
They're putting razor wire across the top, right?
And they're putting barbed wire over it. So it's very, very difficult. You can't move them, obviously.
Right.
So you have to climb over them because you can't go through them. Even the border wall, sometimes you can climb over those things. These things are almost harder to get over. And they're in abundance, so they have them. They're going to stack them. They're doing this. The reason it's interesting story, though, is that, A, why haven't you done it yet? They were waiting on the federal government. And that's where it gets a little dicey, is that this is federal land that they're doing this on. So they don't legally have the authority as the state to be doing anything on this land. So it begs, I guess, sort of ethical questions that I'll pose to you. Do you think that states have the power to go ahead and do something that is technically breaking the law in an instance like this?
I'd say no. If they're breaking the law, then no, you don't want to engage in that. And I don't know how they would get around it. In the grand scheme of things, I tend to look at the ends justify the means as the wrong approach, because so often do politicians don't want to follow the law if they feel the desired outcome or the just income is better than the ramifications of getting in trouble for not following the law. And I think they cut those corners all too often. And I think I've seen a lot of political persecution, abuses of power in the government in order to get what they want because of the person that's in power. And I prefer not to go that route. I don't think it's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I think that you're making a very, very good point, and one that I think in most instances I would agree with. In this one, the counterpoint is that the federal government is actually breaking the law, and the state government is the one following the law. They're just picking up where the federal government has abdicated its responsibility. So to me, that actually is such a strong argument that I'd say, yeah, somebody's got to follow the law here. And if the federal government's not going to do it, the state's got to step in.
So the question is one of authority over who gets to put the quote unquote wall up on that property. So like Arizona's trespassing on federal land, whereas the U.S. government is abdicating their responsibility to secure the borders.
Yeah. Now, just with a minute left here, I'll add just this extra little curveball. In July, the Biden administration actually authorized this wall to be built just in Arizona and Texas. So just where it's politically expedient. They're not worried about California. They're not worried about New Mexico. But they did authorize it, but they didn't authorize necessarily the state to do it. They also authorized themselves to do it, and then they did nothing. So they said, hey, now we can do this, so that they could politically kind of cover their butts. And then they didn't do anything. So there's a lot at play here, and it's why it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, and going back to it, there's all kinds of ways that the federal government has been abused. I mean, more recently, the proposal of trying to build abortion clinics on federal land because they thought it would circumvent the laws that way. So the people that were cheering that, I thought, no, that is so wrong. And I think somewhat for the same reasons why you wouldn't want to cheer something like this on, but you make some great points. We might have to talk about this more. Jim Carafano is going to join us, expert in national security from the Heritage Foundation, coming up after the break. 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewart's American Mortgage, 314-324-4440. Call or text 314-324-4440. Talk to Stewie about how you can get into the process of using the bagel loan. I've talked about the bagel loan, and people might hear me say that so much they don't really understand, though. Why is it called the bagel loan? Well, it's to help you remember the benefit of using the bagel loan. A bagel looks like a zero, and that's what you're going to pay in fees when you go through a mortgage refinance or a home purchase using the bagel loan at Stewart's American Mortgage. My friend Stewie, who I have gone through this process myself twice, and in both situations, I was able to lower my interest rate. But also the second time we did a cash out refinance, we needed to do some improvements on our home. The deck on the back of our house was dangerous. It needed to be replaced. We had equity in our home that we used to pay for that procedure. So if you were looking to pay down some high interest credit card debt, or if you have something you need to do on your home, consider using the bagel loan for that refinance today. 314-324-4440. Call or text 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
There's a big red barn where you say free. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
At 420id.com, we make it easy to get your Missouri medical marijuana card. Dispensaries are open and inventory is in, so why wait? 420ID is the only company that provides you with a real plastic ID card and have served over 19,000 happy Missouri patients. Open late every day until 9 p.m. If we can't approve you, you pay nothing at 420id.com. Today is the day to sign up for your Missouri medical marijuana card at 420id.com. Use promo code RADIO and save $30 today. That's 420id.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
What the president meant on Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House still insisting President Biden is talking about Trump-supporting office holders when he criticizes MAGA Republicans and an extreme agenda.
Majority of Americans agree with him. Majority of Americans agree with this president on protecting our democracy, protecting our freedom, and protecting our rights.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre, as the president holds a cabinet meeting focusing on implementing recent legislative wins that many Republicans predict won't resonate with voters still struggling with high inflation. The company accused of sparking a teen vaping surge agrees to pay nearly $440 million to settle a multi-state probe of its vaping products. E-cigarette maker Juul Labs reaching an agreement just announced by Connecticut on behalf of 33 attorneys general and Puerto Rico. Juul calls it a significant step toward resolving issues from its past, but federal regulators are still trying to ban its products. Upgraded charges in the kidnapping of Tennessee mother and teacher Eliza Fletcher, now that her body's been found.
Memphis police would not go into detail about how Eliza was killed, but confirmed her body was found in the rear of a duplex apartment. Police said surveillance video showed a man aggressively pushing her into an SUV as she went for a morning run last Friday. They arrested Cleotha Abston a short time later after finding the vehicle. While he was initially charged with kidnapping and evidence tampering, he is now charged with murder. While Eliza is the granddaughter of a billionaire who died 4 years ago, District Attorney Steve Mulroy said Tuesday,
"We have no reason to think this was anything other than an isolated attack by a stranger."
Abston is separately charged with identity theft, theft of property, and credit card fraud.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Police in Canada just reporting possible sightings of a mass murder suspect at an Indigenous reserve, the same area where 10 people were killed, 18 injured over the weekend, a day after his brother, also accused in the stabbings, was found dead. America is listening to Fox News.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Town & Country, Missouri, 63017. Cordell.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a mix of clouds and sunshine as we go through our Tuesday afternoon with a little more in the way of some sun, but still a slight chance of a spotty shower or thunder shower. Pretty tough to find now. 82 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 65 Wednesday and Thursday. partly to mostly sunny, 82 each day, and Friday sunny and 85. The full harvest moon coming up early on Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's happening right here, right now.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
In his speech, he said we should look at each other as Americans and not enemies. And yet he singled out a segment of Americans and said, basically, they're our enemy.
If Donald Trump gave this speech, I think they might not stop talking about it for weeks.
This is 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're planning to sell your home in the St. Louis area, now may be the best time to capture the highest sale value before the market changes. Mark Cox here, and according to industry experts, the real estate market has shifted. Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty agrees with that. She also has options to help every type of home seller because she understands every situation is different. If you need to sell your home fast, but you're worried about finding the next home, Gloria has the answers and the solutions. She has an instant cash offer program that gives you above market cash offers. No showings, no hassles. You pick the closing date, even up to a year, giving you the cash and the time you need to find that next home. Call Gloria today about that instant cash offer and her guarantees and her other options that'll help you sell fast for the most money. Call 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
2022 is zipping by quickly, and if you haven't taken care of that big exterior painting job for your home or business, CertaPro Painters can help. I've depended on CertaPro for all my painting needs for more than a decade now. They talk about something called the power of pro. That's the power of timeliness, the power of doing it right, the power of minimal disruption. They work to make sure it's a smooth project from start to finish. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, the power of pro. Check out CertaPro.com today.
If you filed a tax extension in April, don't wait until it's too late to handle your tax issues. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. Every year, thousands of Missourians file extensions when their taxes are due in April. But what people don't know is the extension only moves your deadline to file your return, not to pay your taxes. So if you didn't pay anything back in April, you could now owe taxes plus interest plus penalties. You think you've bought yourself time, but really you've just added to the total bill. If this sounds like you, call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I am a local tax attorney with an A+ BBB rating, and I will meet with you right away to help handle your tax problems quickly. The deadline to file your return after an extension has already passed, so call the Lance Drury Law Firm now before it's too late. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call Attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Summer items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
The features you always dreamed of are here. We're talking about rewinding the radio. Listen on the Odyssey app and rewind whenever you'd like, or catch up on entire shows within 24 hours of air.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. You can reach the show how you would normally reach the show, or if you want to reach me, at Ryan Recker on Twitter, a great place for that. Joining us now is an expert in national security. He's the vice president for foreign and security policy at the Heritage Foundation, Jim Carafano. Thank you for coming on to 97.1.
And you have a name made for radio.
I know.
Ryan Recker. It's either radio or like the goalie for that Capitals. One of the two.
Oh, that's pretty good. Normally, this is what I would get. They would say, Wrecker, are you a home wrecker? Oh, that's the normal response to that. And, I'm like, okay, I like your approach to this much better. So looking at national security, let me just throw this out here at first, because President Biden seems to be going around making it a very big part of the midterm election to say that conservatives, Republicans, those that may have voted for Donald Trump are the real national security threat here. Does that bother you when you hear that type of rhetoric?
Yeah, it does, because I have a long list. I mean, it actually starts with Russia, China, and Iran, who want a world without America. And so actually, when you run around telling these yahoos we're at war with ourselves, you think our enemies are emboldened and empowered by that? And the answer is, you bet. So there's that. Then there's the border. Look, I mean, we're just going to have another 9/11. I mean, you cannot have a wide open border and have millions of people walking across it every day, and you're doing nothing. And you're not only doing nothing, you're distracting all the resources of Homeland Security and Department of Justice and other agencies to basically create a human trafficking network to bring these people in the country. So yeah, I used to say the biggest enemy we have is the Congress, but now I think it's the administration. They've actually taken a lot of the resources designed to defend and protect the country, and they spent more time using them for their political objectives. I mean, even in the military, which is the kind of the last line of defense of Americans, there's more concern and time and late nights spent in the Pentagon talking about, how can we have, be more green and more equitable and have more diversity than there are about how can we make sure we have a trained and ready force to defend our country. So, yeah, I kind of do disagree with the president.
Yeah, this is what I fear happens sometimes, because when you hear the opposing side, if you hear the Democrats after President Biden speaks, they'll say, well, who's not against Nazi fascists? Who's not against this? Really, if you are standing up for these Make America Great Again type of people, you really need to self-evaluate yourself. But I think part of the root problem is that do you really trust that one person to be the arbitrator of, an unbiased and, have no motivations whatsoever to be the one to pick and choose the ones that are dangerous to the country, especially when you don't trust that person? So now what do I have to align myself with Joe Biden because he says we shouldn't trust certain things? You see, that's the thing. I have trust issues when it comes to government officials that act that way.
And I think that's rightly so. Let me give you a historic example. I mean, let's, the first America First movement, right? The large movement, which was against the American entry into World War II, right? And many of them were demonized by FDR and everybody else. These people aren't Americans, they're fellow travelers. The day after Pearl Harbor, the America First movement was all in for the effort to defend America. And almost to a person, every leader in the America First movement joined the war effort, including Charles Lindbergh, who actually went to the Pacific and flew combat missions against the Japanese. So they may have disagreed with FDR. They may have disagreed with a lot of people. But to say that they weren't patriotic and they didn't love their country, that was a falsehood. It was a falsehood back then. And I think it's a falsehood now to say people whose politics aren't the same as mine are the problem. This country was created on people disagreeing over politics. So could you imagine if Jefferson was able to take all the Hamiltonian guys out and have them shot or something? Would this have been the same country? I mean, the most important period of our history, when all the really hard stuff, the really, really hard stuff, after the parades are over and the hard thing, actually getting down and putting the country together, that happened in the days when Jefferson and Hamilton would have spit at each other across the street. And that produced the great democracy that we have. So somehow that political disagreements are the problem in this country. Well, I disagree with that.
Yeah. Jim Carafano is an expert in national security. Heritage Foundation joins us here on 97.1. And at this point, I'm watching Europe, and I'm watching them get cut off from Russian energy, and I'm watching them fear for their lives what's going to happen this winter when prices for energy are 10 times more than what they're used to. And they're now faced with questions like, can I afford to plug in my refrigerator? And they're looking at this and they're saying, I might not be able to heat my house in the winter. And they are deathly afraid of what's about to happen, considering that a big portion of their energy with the gas supply by Russia is cut off and probably not coming back. And it makes me wonder, energy independence was a big thing for us in the United States. And Donald Trump made it very clear that we're better off when we can control our own fate when it comes to pumping our own energy and supplying our own energy. At this point, it seems like energy independence is basically maybe one of our top national security priorities, because we don't want to be put in that situation.
Right. And you have to remember that the guys that President Biden said are the enemy of this country and the real problem, these are the people that delivered energy independence to America, that didn't start a war, that increased defense spending, made the military stronger. And they're the problem. And look, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the one thing that we should have learned from our experience that's just happened with Ukraine and everything else is the great value of having America just not be energy independent, but being energy dominant. And yet, because it doesn't fit with the political agenda of this administration, they refuse to do the things to make that possible. The lowest record of permits to drill, the greatest restrictions on drilling, the greatest environmental, all from this administration, and doubling down on that, even as we get deeper into this crisis, and the advantage of American oil and gas is incredibly more out. And the Secretary of Energy just said yesterday, she said, "Well, double our output of wind and solar." Well, dude, that's
easy.
We're going to need twice as many suns. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, it's just literally nuts.
Oh, that's great.
If you follow the story that Amazon has basically shut down all the solar panels.
I didn't know that.
They were
Really?
Fire. Yes. Yeah, because they put them on all their buildings and they're all catching fire. And
how?
And I would. Well, first of all, I would bet you that 99% of these panels were bought in China. Probably 89% of them were made with Chinese slave labor. And Chinese solar panels are absolute crap. They don't last long. They're poorly made. They're not good value for dollar. And Joe Biden would have us buy more of these every day. It's just nuts.
Wow. We've already had our disaster when it comes to supplying these type of materials. Let's not forget Solyndra and all the government's investment in that panned out. But with the United States and energy independence, it does make me fear that we're going to have more of these Europe-style issues of energy issues in the future. If we just look at California, who's already trying to go down that path, and they can't keep up as is. So basically what you're saying, why can't we just need to get higher input or output from our solar. We need to get higher output from our wind. And you've already expanded as far as you could, and you're not going to be able to put these things up fast enough. But unfortunately, you're not putting a replacement onto the table before you take other things offline. This is what you run into. And we don't want other people to mimic California right now, because we know what that would happen to our state.
Well, and the reality is look, I mean, these things are massively subsidized. So this is not cheap energy. It is really expensive to build these systems. And these systems are not dependable. They cannot guarantee you base load, which is what you really want from an economy. Can I turn my electricity on today? And so this is a huge, the physics and the chemistry and the economics of a notion of a society powered by wind and solar are just not there. The numbers just don't add up in any way, shape, or form. And then people have to say, well, that can't be true. This can't be true, because why would a government be pushing this agenda if it wasn't realistic? And I said, because you don't understand. It's not an economic agenda. It's not an energy agenda. It's not an environmental agenda. It's not even a national security. It's a political agenda. The goal of this agenda is to secure political power. It's not to deliver electricity.
We just have to be realistic in the way that a lot of our rates are determined is that the state negotiates a certain rate, or the city would negotiate a certain rate, and then they would have to essentially apply for a rate increase, and they would have to try to justify why they want a higher rate to sell energy to the people that are living in that city. If you are the energy producer right now, you're thinking to yourself, this is fantastic. Go ahead and take more things off and then have more energy production necessary to keep up with what you're forcing. We're just looking at that salivating because now the demand's higher. We're going to be able to charge higher rates. And then if you didn't buy into solar or electric or whatever it is, cars, you're going to be paying an astronomical amount of money. And even if you did buy into it, you're going to be paying an astronomical amount of money. To them, it's a win-win situation forced by the government.
It's a great investment. Look, you get massive subsidies whether you produce energy or not with wind and solar. And you have a guarantee that you don't have to produce energy when it's needed. Because nobody's going to sign a contract for wind and solar says, well, if we need a lot of extra energy, you're going to deliver, because wind and solar, they can only deliver when they have wind and sunshine. And so it's like, you can't, they're never going to, it's not like an oil producer that says, okay, if you need more oil, I'll produce more oil, because they can't. And we're not even into the battery issue, which is, okay, you produce the electricity, and if you don't use it, storing it is very expensive and very difficult. And nobody's talking about, the carbon footprint, because actually the technology, the industries needed to build this stuff is actually pretty dirty. So, for example, over lifetime, an electric car has a bigger footprint in greenhouse gases than a conventional car. And so the other day I was walking down the street, and a Corsair drove by, and it must have been like a 1960 car. And it's still, okay, maybe it doesn't have the best carbon footprint, but it's still on the road and it's still driving. You're not going to find a Tesla on the road 60 years later, because a Tesla is just a battery with four wheels. When that battery burns out, that car is virtually useless. And you have to throw it away. And it's not going to last 40 years. It's probably going to last like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, all things considered, just look at any other technology. What happens 10 years after? You're not replacing the parts because it's just cheaper to buy a new one. That's the type of society we live in the world. That's you could very easily say, when the battery goes, what are you going to do? You're probably going to have to just buy a new one. What kind of environmental footprint does that have? Jim Carafano, an expert in national security, also vice president for foreign and security policy at the Heritage Foundation. These are really big issues that we're forcing the hand unnecessarily. We, the ones that are listening right here, every single person is going to have to foot the bill for this in the future. And it's not just the ones that don't jump on. It's the ones that do or don't jump. We're all screwed at this point. Jim Carafano, thank you so much for joining us here to discuss these things on 97.1.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Jim's 100% right. And to go even further on something he mentioned there, in a lot of ways, we look at the U.S. Way that we tax a lot of things, and it's basically a use tax, as in if you buy a gallon of gasoline, you're paying tax on that gasoline, meaning that you're using the roads, and some of that goes back to helping rebuild the roads, patch them up, things like that. But essentially, the ones that are getting the benefit of that service are the ones that are paying the tax to help pay back into it. If you're not using the roads, as in, let's say you're not driving a vehicle, then you're not paying that tax. Use taxes, they're sin taxes, things that basically mean if you're going to be the ones to consume this, you're the ones that are going to help pay the tax to offset some of the other problems caused by that sort of thing. In the future, it's not going to be up to you, because if the consumption goes up, you're going to be the one paying it if you use it or not. 100% you're going to be the one paying it in forms of rate hikes. And then just in general, the cost of everything going back up when demand is there for electricity. They're going to have to try to say, okay, well, the demand's there, so we're going to have to jack up the rates. Well, guess what? You're help subsidizing this extra money that's necessary in order to put these electric vehicles onto the road. And it's one of those things that I know the electric companies are going to take advantage of. They're going to use it as justification to up their rates, and you're going to be the ones paying it if you invested into it or not. And congratulations, even if you did invest into it with an electric vehicle, you're still going to be paying more because the demand's going to be there. It's a lose-lose situation for consumers, and it's one they haven't quite figured out yet. All right, when we come back, there was a story on Reason that I thought was really fascinating, how the FBI fabricates schemes to entrap would-be radicals. I'm going to go back to something Ryan Wiggins mentioned with the Arizona border wall. In the ends justify the means. And this is why the FBI really needs to be looked into. We'll get to that coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey at 97.1 FM Talk.
20 years in the government, 20 years can never get me by.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Close like you wanted me to. Feel you close like you wanted me to. Believe in you.
More people are landing on 97.1 FM Talk every day.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective.
That's the only station I listen to.
97.1 FM Talk, the place for ideas.
The Wall Street Journal reported that home equity is at record levels. And while home values continue to soar, rising interest rates make it harder than ever to unlock equity. But what if you could cash out your home's equity right now while it's still sky high and not have to move? You can with Truehold.com. Truehold will buy your home for full cash value. Best of all, you get to bank all the cash now and continue living in your home. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance too. Let's review. Truehold pays your home's full value in cash fast. Use your cash to do everything you've dreamed of, like travel or pay off debt. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com for the smarter, faster way to cash out your home's full value without having to move. 1-855-300-9993. 1-855-300-9993 or go to Truehold.com.
Did you know the Missouri State Treasurer's Office holds over $1 billion of unclaimed property? That's billion with a B. Things like utility deposits or uncashed checks and other money you didn't know was missing. This is Missouri State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick. My office wants to return this money to rightful owners, and the average claim is $300. Search your name online 24/7 at showmemoney.com. Claiming your money is always free, so search today at showmemoney.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Making your money go further is more important than ever. So Diamonds Direct's bringing back our most popular offer of the year. 5 years, zero interest financing on any purchase. Now for a limited time, you get the amazing value Diamonds Direct is known for, and you can spread your payments over 5 years. Zero down, zero interest. A $6,000 diamond ring is just $100 a month. Don't miss this extraordinary offer going on now. 5 years, zero interest financing on anything and everything at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Details at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomesaintlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com or call 314-782-8000.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
ChevroletKilling.com.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. There was a very interesting article from Reason.com. They're a very libertarian type of group. And they were discussing some of the different ways the FBI are involved in these entrapment schemes, meaning that major stories have now come forward, including the one kidnapping plot for Governor Whitmer in Michigan. And these proposed kidnappers finding themselves not guilty in front of court because they realized the FBI was like holding their hand to let them be radicals. Like they were forcing the hand and trying to lead them down this path. And they successfully argued they were entrapped. And we've seen this in other ways too, where the FBI has come in and they use weird informants. They may reach out to people that say things online and try to get them to do radical things. Generally speaking, here in the United States, there's not a giant supply of radicals and people that are trying to do harm in these big terrorist plots. But what we're finding is that the FBI tries to find people who think could be radicalized. They're the ones radicalizing them in order to monitor them to see if they follow through with it. And then they go forward to arrest these people. And then, like the Michigan plot for Governor Whitmer, use that as justifications to say, we've done a great job. You should pat us on the back. We're flushing out radicals right now. And this goes back to the ends justify the means. And I wanted to bring this up to you guys because I just don't think there's a large supply of radicals in the United States that are willing to take out terrorist threats or do these sort of things. Do you think it's better that government agencies are actively trying to see who could be radicalized and then arresting them? Or do you think this entrapment stuff is actually a huge problem?
Well, as like most things, it depends on how you use it. And right now they're using it very, very inappropriately. They have openly said that the most dangerous people in our society are far right extremists. Mm-hmm. And so they've got the criminal already. Mm-hmm. And so now they got to find the crime. And that is completely backwards from what it should be. Now, it's not to say that you could never, ever go ahead and sort of preemptively find where a crime is going to happen. But that's not really what this is. You mentioned the Whitmer case. That was I think it was a handful of FBI agents who posed as extremists and tried to convince these other guys that they should kidnap the governor of Michigan. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. And they succeeded in at least convincing them to do it. And their defense is, well, they were going to do it anyway. It's like, well, you'll never know now. You'll never know whether they really were or not because you intervened. And so that's why some of those guys got off scot-free because they said, we were trapped here. We were told what to do, essentially, given the plan for what to do. Like if somebody walked up to you and goes, here's a great plan for tax fraud. You should do it. Here's how you do it. And you go, well, shoot, I might do that. That seems like a pretty good plan. And then they go, gotcha. I'm law enforcement. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, isn't entrapment illegal? So if they're entrapping people, then it's illegal and they shouldn't be doing it. It's different from investigating or coming up with a credible threat rather than ginning up some people to do this thing. It's like, we think this could be a thing. Not that they heard that there were people talking about it. Not that they heard there was a plot and they infiltrated this group. They created a group. They then created the plot and then arrested everybody who's like, I might go along with that.
Let me give you a scenario that I think a lot of people may be able to, relate to. If you have an older brother and you're a younger brother, how many times did your older brother get you to do stupid things by convincing you to do something you would never do?
Zero. So, never, ever, ever did that to my brother. Ever.
Yeah, I was the older brother too. So.
Okay. So let's say your younger brother would never in a million years think about doing something that's a little dangerous, but you as an older brother realized it would be really funny if they did it. And then you finally convince them to do it. And then they go off crying to mom. Look what this guy made me do. My older brother made me do. And then mom gets mad at you. Why does mom get mad at you? Because you essentially coerce them to do something they shouldn't be doing. To me, that's the FBI. And when they go running to a judge, they realize the kid that did something dangerous isn't the one at fault here. It's the one that influenced them to do it. And I think the FBI has been doing this for a long time.
That's a great example. I mean, that's a really good example. And me and Brad are both shaking our heads like, yeah, you could do that.
Never did that.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, in that scenario, would the little brother ever even imagine some of these things on their own? Of course not.
No, or if they did, they wouldn't have known how to do them. You know, like, yeah, I'd love to, destroy the cookie jar or whatever. But I don't really know how I would do that without, oh, you mean I could get a ladder, like a step ladder out of the garage and do it? I didn't thought about that.
You mean you can open the door to the refrigerator and use the shelves as steps to climb up?
There.
Oh, no, don't say
Perfect.
that.
Perfect.
Any kid that's inside the car that heard that, please
No.
do not take that advice.
Listen, the refrigerator will fall on you and you will get hurt very badly. Do not do that.
Yeah.
Or IKEA furniture. Don't do it to that either.
I would
My
love
goodness.
to see if our dog Peaches could make a jump off of our deck. It's a second story deck. I don't know if she'd survive, but there's one way to find out. That's the kind of stuff that brothers do to each other.
Uh-huh. That's exactly what happens. And I think the FBI, in a way, is responsible for implanting this idea in a lot of people's minds, and they end up doing things they never would have done on their own. And it's like that in a lot of different issues, too. I wanted to also, on the same tune of government issues and abuse of power, FBI, we know, stepped in during the whole Hunter Biden story and preemptively went to places like Facebook and said to them, hey, there's this one story out there about Hunter Biden's laptop. I just want you to know it's out there. We think it's Russian disinformation. Don't report it. And this is a pretty big bombshell in the revelations of what we're learning off of these documents from Hunter Biden that implicate his dad, President Joe Biden, in, real serious crimes. This is a realistic thing that social media decided to hide when it was going on. And they use this because the government and social media, they have this sort of relationship with each other. And I do look at it in a very similar way, in the way that the FBI uses and abuses their power. And they use it not only to entrap people, but they also use it in a way to influence other people too. To me, I really think the FBI needs some sort of independent overview to make sure that they are on the up and up, because at this point, over what we've seen the past 4 or 5 years, I just don't think they can be trusted anymore. And what we're seeing too, Eric Schmidt, he's someone that's been on the forefront when it comes to the FBI and big tech. He's someone that's looking at some of the different abuses that are out there, and he recognizes these things and where they may be coming from. I think we have clip number 9. So Eric Schmidt was discussing some Instagram censoring, and on the surface, this may seem very innocent, as in, oh, big deal. What's the big deal if they stop a story on Instagram or whatever it is? Well, actually, it turns into a big deal. Let's play clip 9.
They've effectively outsourced their censorship. How far does this go? How wide does it go? In this lawsuit, we're going to get answers, because this ought to shock every American, regardless of your political stripe, that the government is actually censoring and silencing America.
They not only act as if they are independent, but in a lot of ways we find out they are not so independent. In fact, they may be working in tandem. And because of that, I think these big tech companies are afraid of losing out on some pretty big dollars, and also losing out on some government contracts, or even the favor of a political party, that they're afraid to go outside of that. And then in some ways, their own biases play a factor into it, because they want to vote for a certain person. So they want to help that person as much as possible. So they abuse their power inside of that tech company to favor one person over another, but they don't disclose these things that are going on. So FBI entrapping people. I think the FBI and government have gone even further than that. I think they've used their power and abused it so much that Eric Schmidt is 100% right. This needs to be looked into and investigated, and we need something independent other than the government looking into itself, because it's obviously not working.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the president that is the oversight for that, or the FBI itself. The upper echelons are supposed to be the oversight, but there is none when there's not a Donald Trump in office, certainly. And what you just said is right. There's 2 ways that the FBI, and we're tiptoeing around some of these things. Let's just call it what it is. The FBI, the upper echelons of it, are corrupt.
It is corruption.
They're corrupt now. They make political decisions. They don't make law enforcement decisions. And they do so by doing some of the examples that you just brought up. One of them being they create crime where there might not have been crime, And then they also don't go after actual crime that's happening based on whatever the power structure is. And you brought up the FBI, the laptop. There's lots of others, but those are great examples that are still coming to the forefront. And the problem is, if you say them while they're happening, for instance, if in October of 2020 or even November of 2020, you said this is a real story, the Hunter Biden laptop, and it has been suppressed by the tech companies, you might not have known that the FBI was also behind that. But if you had said that at the time, you were not only crazy, you were banned.
Yeah, on Twitter. How long was New York Post banned from Twitter?
Probably a month.
Yeah,
3 weeks maybe. But these things are very real, and they're happening in real time. And eventually, we do find out what's going on, but it takes too long, and they don't care by that time.
Well, and the thing about it is the whole idea behind banning it was, it turns out that they didn't want this coming out before the election,
Exactly.
and there's a bunch of people that said, had they known this information was legit and on the up and up, it would have changed how they voted. It could have changed the direction of the election.
Let me put out this scenario to you, and I want to see what you think about this. Going back to before the 2016 election, you had then candidate President Trump talking about things like fake news. And then a lot of his critics would say, well, you're just diluting this one tagline to build a distrust. And you're building a distrust because he's a terrible person, and he's using this as a way to try to build a defense for himself illegitimately. You see what I'm saying? They said the same thing when you called out abuses inside a government or the FBI. They said, well, it's just this Donald Trump talk for trying to dilute this historic and very important agency. And he's doing that as a way because he's actually the one that's really wrong, and he's the one that's corrupt. So he's doing these things in order to try to build a defense up for himself. And then we go through the years, and we see some of the different evidences that he was right, that there is a lot of fake news and biases that go into reporting, and it's one-sided, mainly one-sided. We find that the FBI and some of these other agencies have been acting inappropriately, in fact, to the point of even criminal, and the way that they brought up certain documents, certifying certain documents, and using it as a way to justify investigations from the very beginning. And you see these things come to pass, that Donald Trump wasn't wrong about these things. So I just wanted to use that as the prefix. Now we have more recently the raid on his home in Mar-a-Lago, and these documents were taken. And what we're seeing is that a lot of times the Democrats that hated Donald Trump have already hung their hat on this. He's lying about everything. He's the biggest liar ever. And he only used these sort of attacks in order to build a defense for himself. They're hanging their hat on that again. And they're saying, no, it's not the FBI that's wrong. No, it's not the government that's wrong. No, it's not the news that is wrong. It's actually Donald Trump, who's the most horrible, terrible person in the world. And they're continuing on this path. Do you think if, let's say, the FBI or news or any of these other agencies were able to effectively defend themselves and prove Donald Trump wrong, as opposed to Donald Trump being the one that was actually right, do you think if all of these other attempts failed, then we would have completely abandoned Donald Trump at this point and he would be in jail? Or do you think the only reason he is safe right now, as in not indicted, not in jail, and have a defense for himself, is because he brought these abuses up early and he actually proved that they were abuses, and thus, because they were in the forefront of people, they don't trust these institutions to tell them the truth?
Yeah, that's tough to know, chicken and the egg, which one it is. But I will say that you're bringing up a really good point, that you talked about some of the past things that have happened up until the current thing, which is the FBI thing. That it's taken about 2 years before we've known really what's gone on with the laptop and all the suppression that is around it, and that the FBI was involved. That's happening right now in real time with the Mar-a-Lago raid, that there are a lot of assertions being made about that too, and people going, but look at what the FBI has done in the past. Now, I will say this, and you take this for what you think, Wrecker, but he is I think he's got to be the most scrutinized politician that has ever been. He has been so deeply scrutinized, and there's some things that he's kept back, his tax returns and things like that you can say, well, he's not completely transparent. Well, that's true, but I can't imagine somebody who's been more deeply investigated than that man and that politician. And yet he's never really been he's never been thrown in jail or anything yet. Now, he's been impeached twice, but he wasn't thrown out of office. So all this stuff is, as we know, it's political. And I think that that kind of scrutiny is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's applied equally, and with Trump it hasn't been.
Let's put that out there too about the scrutiny. In a lot of ways, sometimes it's the press that will scrutinize a candidate. They'll bring out certain things they said in the past or whatever it may be. The difference between, I think, that and the former president is that, the government came down on him. They actually, I believe, abused certain offices inside of the government in order to try to force investigations, and going back to the whole Russian dossier and whatnot, and how dirty that really was, and how they basically lied in order to start this investigation, purposely lied. It should probably show you that there are tendencies to go far beyond what is legal in order to try to persecute this person. And that should be concerning for pretty much anyone, because, again, the ends justify the means is not the right approach when it comes to the abuses of the government that we've seen day in and day out.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably go to break. When we come back, I saw this one story on KSDK about how St. Louis County residents are going to be able to pick up free steering locks. Is this really the right way to approach the crime that we see in the city and county? That's coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. The Mark Reardon Show.
Gene Evans. They don't want to talk about rising crime. They don't want to talk about this giveaway of $10,000 paying off student loans. There's so many things that they don't want to talk about, so they keep shifting it back to Trump.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloor.com has all of the top brands that you're looking for, but they also have the quality, the value that you're looking for, paired with the best in customer sales staff experts. Let's talk a little bit about the waterproof flooring. If you're looking for a wood look, but you need it to stand up to the circumstances that you got going on in your house, let's talk about Techwood Select and Plus. This is a great product, truly natural visuals, dimensional stability, long-lasting finishes. The Techwood Plus has a wider, longer plank to it. It's cleaner grades. You can get this at Michael's Flooring Outlet. We can talk about the Smart Strand Mohawk Silk Carpeting. If you're looking for the carpeting quality, they can help you with that silky softness, the superior performance that you're looking for, plus 3 times more individual fibers than ordinary nylon carpet. All of the top products with the best staff, the value, the quality that you're looking for, it's all at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They have 3 locations across St. Louis. You can find all those details online at igotfloor.com.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low fixed rates.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. You can offset today's high prices by using the low interest equity in your home to pay off credit cards, make home improvements, or simply put cold hard cash back in your pocket.
Start saving money and skip 2 mortgage payments. Call 314-567-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
The following is a commercial announcement.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money, simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
You may be thinking, I have a portfolio, I have a financial advisor, but are you confident that your money is going to last in retirement? That's a sign you may need to adjust your investment approach. At Heisey Advisory Group, we know that a portfolio is not a plan. Retirement is full of complicated choices like when to claim Social Security, how to keep taxes low, and how to leave your assets to loved ones with the least amount of taxes and hassle, and probably most important, how to make your money last. Do you know if your current retirement plan solves all of these problems? If the answer is no, give Heise Advisory Group a call today at 314-328-6000. Let us help you quiet those nagging questions once and for all. That's 314-328-6000.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute traffic like nobody else. Sue Thomas and dependable traffic, driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Ooh, welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. And it's always fun when the three of us get together. The boys get to do the Annie Frey Show.
That's right.
Is it really that much of
a
boys'
big deal?
show? I don't think so.
It becomes the Manny Fry Show.
Hannah kept asking to come in. We're like, no, boys' show today.
No, get out of here. Boys only. What's the little rascals?
He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I saw this weekend that somebody said that's the dumbest name for a superhero ever. He-Man.
He-Man?
There's
No,
nothing
it's awesome.
to it other than you know what? Now that you say it, now I'm like fully on board with He-Man.
Oh no.
Now I like it.
My childhood.
No, He-Man's a great name.
It had
that would be an awesome nickname too. Imagine when you're trying to come up with an on-air radio name, He-Man would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. It would be like saying though, Radio Talker is my name.
That's too long. He-Man's to
right
the
on
point.
the nose.
He-Man, love it. Do you see KSDK? Other places are reporting this too, but with all the different Kia and Hyundai thefts that are going down, and how easy it is to steal some of these vehicles, all they have to do is like basically pull apart the steering area and stick a USB cable in it to start a vehicle without a physical key. So now they're offering basically these steering locks for residents in order to help protect their vehicles from getting stolen in the city and county. So that's our plan right now to fight crime. We're just going to get steering locks for everyone. That's our crime plan?
Yay.
What? How come, man, why didn't we think of that? Crime could be eliminated if we just gave everyone free car locks.
Well, if we just lock everything up, then we won't have to worry about people trying to steal it.
No,
I got a feeling.
You can still break into a car even if it's locked, though. But if you have a steering lock on it, then what are you going to do? You can't do anything.
Oh, yeah, they're just going to give up. These people are jumping and hopping underneath cars to get these catalytic converters. I'm guessing that's a little bit more difficult to steal than trying to get one of these steering locks out. What's the very popular one in the 90s? What was that called?
The Club.
The Club. I think we found ways around these pieces of metal. And I'm going to wonder, where were these things made? Is this like cheap Chinese metal, or is this like the stuff that comes from overseas that when they put it under a stress test immediately buckle? Is this going to be really easy to cut through this? I'm guessing that there's a possibility that all you need is one of those heavy duty lock cutters, and this would probably go right through it, if I had to guess.
I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think the solution is you just put a full boot on your car when you leave it.
Yeah, just boot it.
Great idea. Just take all the gas out, siphon the gas, so you couldn't go anywhere anyway.
These solutions are like, do you remember the SNL commercial for disposable toilets? They were single-use toilets, but they were no different than a normal toilet. Like you just go to the bathroom in it, but then you got to remove the whole thing, and it walks you through like, well, then you replace the flange, and then you put get
the wax seal.
toilet. Yeah, exactly.
That's all you need to do. Well, I tell you, thieves would probably be more hesitant to steal something if the threat of it exploding on them was true. Like, you know how some people say it's really immoral to booby trap items, but I'll tell you what, one exploding car from someone trying to steal a vehicle, I think would deter a lot of crime in the future.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the porch pirate ones where somebody fakes a package on their, and somebody takes it home and they either open in the car, they open their house, and it's a glitter bomb.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm. And it just destroys your car, your house, just glue and glitter and stuff everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Those
And
are
fart
very
spray.
satisfying.
They put the fart spray in there,
Yeah.
which really also makes it smell. But these elaborate pranks that have been happening are great because they put cameras on there in hopes that they could turn that over to police to try to help identify people that are stealing packages. They're essentially entrapping people, but for the right reasons. And anyone that is caught with this, it's great. There have been instances where police officers will pull someone over and they're just like, they're basically, when you see a baker get out of the bakery, it's just the front of their clothes are just all caked in food. That's what it looks like with the glitter. They get out of their car, it's all glitter, and they're trying to convince a police officer they didn't just steal a glitter bomb.
You know what? It's funny. Like you mentioned entrapment. I've seen that on the back end of these things, a lot of times police can't use the footage because it is entrapment. You can't do that. And the same is true of some of these. There's a couple of them in St. Louis. They are called predator hunters online.
Okay.
That they will pretend to be an underage person and then basically say, yeah, come and meet me at this place. Well, then they show up with cameras. It's just like To Catch a Predator. Well, you can't use a lot of that in evidence afterwards. I think they would do it in To Catch a Predator live for that reason, because they weren't saying that you entrapped anybody because the video is happening now, you know. But if you do it and you use it as evidence, then you're saying, well, here's what I'd use to entrap that person.
Right. Oh boy, you're right. There were certain groups in St. Louis, and one really popular. It was like Truckers Against Predators or something like that. And I don't know if that group's still around, but I would watch some of those videos. And the whole point was to not only confront, but to shame that person as much as they humanly could on the internet in order to show that you may not get arrested for this, but we're going to try to ruin your life because you are about to, at least in your mind, ruin some kid's life, meeting up and sexually assault them. So, hey, you know what? Fair game at this point. And I think a lot of people would root them on, except for the fact that in some ways, it could bring forward violence. And that's something you want to try to avoid. You don't want anyone, getting killed over this. Let it be the person that's trying to put this video out, meeting up with someone. You don't know if they're violent or not. They might show up with a weapon. You don't want to put, and of course, police don't want to put that person in a situation where they can get hurt because, then they're encouraging something dangerous for a citizen. Obviously, that's not the right opportunity for that as well. But the glitter bomb thing's pretty harmless. In the fart spray, that's pretty nice. Tell me that is not very satisfying to see someone that stole a package get that. Like, I want to see their day ruined.
Look, I'll see somebody sprayed with fart spray, even if they hadn't done anything wrong. I'll watch that on the internet regardless. So
is that why you carried it around?
Yeah, and my camera.
Your camera.
That's why I'm so popular in the office too.
Oh man, wouldn't that be someone comes up to your car and you don't want them there? You just fart spray them. End their day. It'll just be the end of it.
Just ruin their day.
That's what Brad does to panhandlers.
Where do you buy that stuff anyway?
I don't know.
Just go on the internet?
I have no idea. That's a good question. They have to be handled with care. What if you got a fart spray delivered to you and somebody stole it and there was a glitter bomb in it? You get double for your money.
Oh man,
that's true. Well, then they would, have to decide what they're going to do with that. Well, it wouldn't activate when they get the package. That would be the worst thing. What if the fart spray people played a prank on the people buying it and they opened it up and immediately started dispensing? Then that is like a double whammy because then you paid to get fart sprayed. A terrible situation here. This is what happens when there's no girls around. So
let's
Annie Frey,
fart spray.
We'll be back, I think, tomorrow, from what I understand. And coming up after the break, I want to hear about the Wing Festival and all the 425 wings you had, Ryan Wiggins. I'm excited about that. And I read a book this weekend, The Disney Revolt. I want to give my review of it. On the Annie Frey Show, I'm Ryan Recker, filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
Holy smokes, it's September, which means your furnace, that needs to be in good working order. That's why you need to know Air Comfort Service. I'm going to give you their phone number right now, and if you don't need to call them right this very minute, just put this number in your phone, save it as Air Comfort Service, and call them when the need arises. The maintenance that you might need to be done on your furnace, the tune-up that maybe hasn't been done for a while, get Air Comfort Service out right away to get that done so that you avoid any high-cost repairs. Here's the number that you can call, 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service is the best in the business. I have had them out to my house for a whole host of reasons: a replacement of a furnace, a replacement of an air conditioner, replacement of a water heater, an aero sealed duct sealing. They are always fair, they are honest, they are kind, and they are very good at what they do. You're going to be able to trust Air Comfort Service and their people when they are in your home, and that is priceless. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Labor Day sale, get a king for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. And save up to $700 on ceiling. Talk to a sleep expert and unjunk your sleep today. Mattress Firm.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here to tell you more about my experience with Window World. They replaced a couple of windows at my house. They were just panes of glass. We wanted to be able to get some airflow into the master bathroom. They came out, they gave us a free estimate, and then had the windows at seams installed in no time. Very professional, lifetime warranty I get, and you get an extra double strength glass on their replacement windows that's not common. So you're getting a great price, simply the best for less. They do front entry doors, rear entry doors if you're looking to replace that back door or sliding glass door in your home. They've got a great selection at Window World. They're also right now offering 18 months, same as cash financing, of course, with approved credit. The preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, 314-993-1800. windowworld.com.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Senseless loss on Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's how the family of a missing mother and teacher in Memphis describes her death, releasing a statement after her body was found and identified.
First, I'd like to express our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and numerous others who have been impacted by the tragic and heinous kidnapping of Eliza Fletcher.
Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis says the suspect already in custody, Cleotha Abston, is charged with additional counts, including murder. He has a prior kidnapping conviction. Guns drawn in Canada, where police have a house surrounded after reports that a mass murder suspect may have been spotted in the same Indigenous reserve where 10 people were killed, 18 wounded in stabbings over the weekend. Police think the suspect, Miles Sanderson, killed his brother, who was found dead yesterday and who had also been accused in the killings. The Pentagon announces another missile test set for tomorrow.
This exercise comes less than 1 month following another test of the Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM. Pentagon spokesman Air Force Brigadier General Pat Ryder called the test routine, but with a specific purpose.
To demonstrate the readiness of U.S. nuclear forces and provide confidence in the security and effectiveness of the nation's nuclear deterrent.
General Ryder says, per treaty conditions, Russia has been notified of the test launch from a California base early Wednesday morning. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Meantime, Central Command confirming a show of force Sunday as the U.S. flew 2 nuclear-capable B-52 bombers over the Middle East amid continued high tensions with Iran. Syrian state media reporting another Israeli raid on the airport in Aleppo, where previous Israeli attacks have targeted transfers of weapons from Iran. Today's reports claiming Syria's air defenses intercepted Israeli missiles. America is listening to Fox News.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's St. Louis area attorneys. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Town & Country, Missouri, 63017. Online at CordellCordell.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a mix of clouds and sunshine as we go through our Tuesday afternoon with a little more in the way of some sun, but still a slight chance of a spotty shower or a thunder shower. Pretty tough to find now. 82 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 65 Wednesday and Thursday, partly to mostly sunny, 82 each day, and Friday sunny and 85. The full harvest moon coming up early on Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, I've got him on the line.
The idea that because people disagree with you, they are somehow evil, and the idea that the President of the United States would be telling half the country or more that they are terrible, vile people is abhorrent.
Mark Cox.
Well, the media picked up on it and carried his talking points forward and suggested that if you support Trump, you support the violent overthrow of the United States government.
97.1 FM Talk.
If your business has accounting problems, you probably have tax problems. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Running a small business is tough, and it's no surprise that companies that don't keep good books often run into tax issues. If you don't fix your accounting problems, you could be doomed to land in the same tax pitfalls every year. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I can help you get out of tax trouble and stay out. If your small business doesn't have a CPA or accountant, I can help you find one. And if you already have one, I work closely with them to resolve your tax problems quickly. Make no mistake, if the numbers don't add up, the IRS will catch it. Fix your accounting and tax problems before they snowball with help from the Lance Drury Law Firm. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Do you want to walk and stay healthy, but cannot because you are in pain?
I just had difficulty walking. I could not walk in bare feet at all.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts from the drugstore with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet Store.
The Good Feet system fits in all your shoes, so come to the Good Feet Store and become pain-free today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn's.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet Store.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon, and if you're looking to get the exterior of your home or business repainted, CertaPro's expert painters can help. They focus on the power of timeliness, the power of inspiration, the power of doing it right, the power of localness, the power of minimal disruption. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated and can help make your home or business look amazing. Get your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. I've hired CertaPro for more than a decade because the work is amazing. For your home or business and the power of pro, CertaPro painters.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
97.1 and thousands of music options, plus millions of podcasts are all on the free Odyssey app. Download the app or tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 and it comes up automatically. 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker for another hour filling in on the Annie Frey Show. You can find me online, Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. It would be nice to connect there. This weekend, the Annie Frey Show, you guys were out at Wing Festival. Where was this at?
This was in Fairview Heights in the mall parking lot.
Cool. How was it?
It was fantastic. It's the first time I've ever been, and me and Brad are both Illinois guys. Have you been before?
Yeah, I went to the 2019 one.
Okay, so you had been, but I had. Okay. Yeah, it was great, though. I mean, we were in the VIP tent, and gosh, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that because it's like dropping, there was a whole bunch of celebrities in there. We were just hanging
one
out.
of the benefits of being in the industry.
Right. We were just in the industry. We're just talking about being in this industry.
No big deal.
You're mumbling. But it was a lot of fun. Everybody was excited to be there. I think it's a great weekend that they've picked. You'd think Labor Day weekend for a big festival like that. A lot of places don't do it because they figure, well, a lot of people are out of town. They deliberately pick Labor Day because they figure nobody else is doing it. And they're right. And so the attendance is tremendous. There's tons of people there. And in that VIP tent, gosh, we met, I'd say, close to 50 or more listeners.
Yeah, every bit of that.
Oh, awesome.
Who were there to both hang out and eat wings and have some beers. And then, we got to talk with everybody, and we got to spend time with people. That's what's cool, is that a lot of times when we're talking on the radio, we can talk to you in the chat and, communicate with you a little bit. We actually got to sit there for 5-10 minutes with people and just sit there and talk and meet people,
all you can handle with a listener, 5 to 10 minutes. Normally you'd be like, leave me alone.
Right.
Don't look me in the eye.
Right.
I'm not signing your autographs.
That
but
must
here,
be
you're in a good mood.
Ryan thing.
That must be, yeah, that's a Ryan. That me and Record do that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, basically, yeah. And are you guys drums or flats? Which one do you prefer when it comes to wings?
Oh, I had to figure out what you were talking about because I thought you were talking about shoes for a second.
I like them both so much, but I have to say flats.
Yep, flats.
Flats are the way to go, 100%. There was a lot of different wing eating enjoyment over this past weekend. Was it just National Wing Day or something like that?
Well, maybe it is. Maybe that's why they do it that weekend.
Yeah, I was filling in for some radio stations in Buffalo, and they had their big wing eating contest, and they bring in Joey Chestnut for it. But as you can imagine, in Buffalo, they take their wings very seriously. They say they have the best wings ever, and they're offended if you eat your wings with ranch as opposed to blue cheese. So if you ask for ranch, it's essentially they're kicking you out of that place. Not allowed to happen.
I used to be a ranch guy, but I am full on blue cheese now for probably the past year. It's blue cheese only.
Yep, and that's the way you have to. And when you're up there, too, I think Joey Chestnut said he can do, 275 wings in 12 minutes or whatever the competition would call for. But he had a leg injury, so that affected his eating, which I thought, how does a leg injury affect your food intake? I don't know.
No, really. Like, I don't know the answer to that question, and now I need to know the answer to that question.
Well, someone tried to explain it. They said, well, if you really are a professional eater, you stand up to get leverage. And that could affect your eating. But then again, could a stool essentially do that job for you and you don't need to worry about the leg?
Yeah, I wonder if standing up opens everything up. Because when you sit down, you're kind of folding your gut.
Look, I'm sure it does.
Pressure on it,
but if you're at a charity event, you don't have to eat 300 wings. You don't have to go into competition mode. You could just sit there and eat 100 sitting down, and people would be like, "Wow, that guy just ate 100 chicken wings."
Can you imagine
That's
that?
incredible.
Just sauce everywhere. You're not getting that sauce off underneath your nails.
I gotta
tell you about Oh, go ahead.
Real quick point of contention. I don't really get why people put salad dressings on wings at all. They have a sauce on them already. I don't get what you're accomplishing by adding more sauce to it.
I don't know. The older I get, the more I appreciate sauces.
Me too. I love sauces, but you already got the sauce. Like drench it in that sauce, but then you're adding a separate taste when you do that.
I think that I should just have a spoonful of the, any type of sauce. I'm a sauce guy. I would like to taste the sauce independent from the wing. I want to know what that tastes like. So without the meat being on top of it. So I want to be able to get a little bit on the side. Wherever I go, I'll ask for a little on the side. I think that's the way to do it, because the sauces by themselves are an art form that you have to be able to try independently before you just slam it down your throat as fast as possible. Can I tell you about a book I read this weekend?
Yeah, you go ahead.
The Disney Revolt.
You read the whole book this weekend?
I know, I couldn't believe it. I'm not one to read entire books. Now, here's a little breaking the fourth wall in radio. We have a lot of books sent to us in radio. And when you do an interview, sometimes it's only for 10 or 12 minutes with the person. It doesn't really justify reading a 300-page book for a 12-minute interview, right? You skim through it, try to get a little here or there, a couple of questions you think would be unique to give the impression you read the whole book. I actually got this from the library. This wasn't sent to me. And I read it, and I was so fascinated by it because I like to, I guess, study animation art, especially early animation art. And I didn't realize this, but back in the 30s and 40s, when Disney was like really making a name for themselves after Snow White and some of the different Mickey Mouse shorts, Goofy shorts, things like that, they were in production of Pinocchio. They were in production of Dumbo, some of these really classic Disney movies. They were millions of dollars in debt. Like Snow White made them a ton of money. But these other films, they were losing money on. Like they lost money on Pinocchio, they lost on Dumbo, and they were on the verge of not being able to repay their loans. And that's when the artists went into strike mode. They were on the picket lines, and it nearly closed down Disney. I was so fascinated by that story. And it was a great Labor Day weekend book. Did you even know that there was a big artist strike with Disney and that almost closed down their studios?
No, although oddly, I don't know why this came up this weekend, but I started looking at, how you go down these internet rabbit holes and you start finding just this random stuff that you're for some reason really interested in. Apparently in Disney history. Now, this is new to me. I didn't know that people were that into multiple brands, especially Disney, like has super fans, as we know from talking about it on the show. But Disney had what's called the dark era. Have you heard this?
No.
In the mostly 80s, they did a bunch of really dark movies like Return to Oz that are considered this era of movies that now they don't even recommend kids watch.
Oh, wow.
I just find that fascinating. I don't know if you've seen Return to Oz
I have
or not.
I still it still freaks me out when those guys with wheels for hands.
Wheelers.
Yeah, the wheelers. And that they hit that sand and it turned them into
I don't remember any of this.
Oh my gosh. Like they're chasing after Dorothy and then like I forget how she takes off and she goes off and they can't stop and the one falls off into the sand and turns into sand. I was like, this is freaky.
Whoa. I remember very little about this. Does the movie start with them on a carriage and then they're like kind of like traveling a little bit? And I kind of remember
it's been so long since I've seen it. There's clips that I always watch because they're so weird and I remember them from the clips, but it's been a long time since I actually watched the movie.
Oh yeah. So if Disney's not killing off a family member in the very opening scene, they're out there to try to traumatize the children. But the 80s were a weird time and anything goes in the 80s.
Did you go ahead?
If it wasn't that, they would be pushing some sort of merchandise on you. So the whole cartoon, the whole purpose of the cartoon would be for them to sell you an action figure or a doll. If it wasn't for that type of programming in the 80s, this is at least stood out in the way because I don't remember anyone having any Return to Oz merchandising.
Yeah. Although I think that movie was actually closer to the book, not the original book, but it was closer to the Return to Oz book than the original Wizard of Oz is. I may have told this story before, and this is more in the era you're talking about, Wrecker. Snow White. The forest scene of Snow White and Pinocchio, actually, they got some really scary stuff in those movies. And it's been a while since I've seen them, but there's this urban legend, and I'm pretty sure that I've heard this from multiple people, and I'm pretty sure one of them is my grandma who worked at the Fox Theater to confirm this. Now I'm putting this out there and saying that is an urban legend, so I need to confirm this. But apparently when they first screened Snow White at the Fox Theater here in St. Louis, that scene of the forest, now keep in mind, a lot of kids of this era had never seen anything that would be frightening on a screen before at all. So this would have been the first time they're really seeing something scary in a movie. They see this, and so many kids wet their pants in the theater that they had to eventually replace the seats and the cloth in the seats because it ruined the Fox's seats. Now, again, I've heard this story multiple times. I still need it confirmed, but I believe it's true. I do believe.
Don't think it's true if I had to guess, but I wish it was true because that would make for a great story.
It'd be a great story to tell on the radio, wouldn't it?
Well, Disney is, if you think about that era, there wasn't a full motion length animated feature like that. Before, it was just a bunch of shorts they would show in front of other movies. And, the Mickey Mouses and the Goofies and things, the animation style at Disney became very popular because they were just heads and shoulders above any other studio. And the theaters love showing it because people love seeing these cartoons. So when Disney decided to put these out, the whole Walt Disney thing is there has to be a nice ending to it. He wasn't out there to scare kids. That would have been, nixed. If they would have thought this would make kids wet their pants, that scene would have been nixed. There's no way Walt Disney would have allowed for it. So even though in retrospect we may be watching that, but in the era and the time, I don't think that was out there scaring kids.
I don't know.
But
it
would
scared
make for
me.
a great story.
Did it scare you when you were a kid? Man, Pinocchio did for sure. That scared me to death.
Oh man, hated Monstro.
Yeah.
See, man, maybe I need to go back and watch these. I'll force my kid to watch it. And I'll let you know if he wets himself on the couch.
keep a
How
close
young
eye.
of a kid are we talking about?
I don't know. I don't know what ages, but it's animated, so you'd figure there'd be a lot of kids there.
Where were you, Ryan? Like 24, 25 when you wet yourself?
When I first watched the movie. Yeah, when I first seen the film. Now, I'd seen Saw, and that was fine, but I watched Pinocchio, and I lost it. Lost all bodily functions right there on the couch. And we were at the Moolah, so it was a public couch.
Oh, that's scary.
Oh, no. Talking about emotions, have you ever seen the movie Hachi?
No.
Saddest movie in the history of cinema.
Is that
Hachi?
Is that the one with the little dumpling? Or no, is this the dog?
This is the dog story, Richard Gere and the dog story.
Oh man.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm telling you right now, if you're talking about kids being frightened by early Disney movies, the emotion that this could give a grown man, you'll cry for an hour straight watching Hachi. Just a word of warning. If you want emotions while watching a movie, rent Hachi and watch it. I don't think there's a sadder movie that'll make any grown man cry.
What you just did is you guaranteed that I will never watch Hachi.
Watch it.
It's the same.
Watch it and report back, please.
A sad movie about a dog, hard pass.
No kidding. No kidding.
Just a quick thing. You guys are married to teachers, so I get this impression that teachers have a lot of downtime when they're in the classroom, right? So they get in there, they put their feet up and relax. They have time for multiple cups of coffee. There's no pressure whatsoever, no deadlines. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So the Post-Dispatch did a story about how certain schools are trying to help the stress levels inside of area classrooms. And they said, like Kirkwood said, this is what we need to do. They have so much pressure. We need to do pickleball and yoga practice inside the school to help relieve some of that pressure. And the first thing I thought was, to me, it would add more pressure because the only thing on my mind would be, I have a million things to do and they're forcing me to do yoga and pickleball. This is so stupid ridiculous. Tell me what teacher would want to break up their day with yoga, knowing the amount of work they have to finish. Who would want to do this?
Well, listen, I know for my wife, the only time that they've ever offered that was at teacher institutes, what do they call them, in schools or whatever, where the kids aren't there and they come together and they do these institutes and they're supposed to learn new things and new methods of teaching. And one of the classes that they offered was a yoga class. So my wife went to that instead of, I forget what the other class options were, but she's like, that was the only appealing thing to me. But during the day, when she's trying to get grading done and trying to do all these other things, she's not interested in being forced to go do pickleball with coworkers or anything like that.
Oh, I would say the exact opposite. If it's in the middle of the day during work hours when you got to be there anyway, give me all the pickleball and whatever you want. But if it's after hours, then it's my time. Please don't schedule anything outside of work.
Don't schedule me for pickleball at 3:30.
Yes, exactly.
Right. I would think if I'm a teacher there, I would rather look at my phone for 20 minutes than play pickleball with one of my coworkers. I'm sorry. Because after the first time, it might be fun. But then after that, you're like, it's a chore. Like
if it's ongoing, it's like, okay, you gotta check your pickleball box now. Like, oh gosh, really? All right, fine.
Please
Ate a lot of
put up
gluten
with
over the
this.
weekend. I'm feeling a little sore, but okay.
You go home and talk to your spouse, and they're like, "Man, you've been spending a lot of time at the office." I know, they're forcing an extra round of pickleball. It's like, is that going to fly? I don't think that excuse is going to fly.
Man, I don't know. I took a badminton class in college. It was awesome. Those were the best, man. You had to take some worthless classes.
Physical education.
Yep. I took a badminton.
Mine was archery.
Oh, yeah.
Archery. Oh, that was so much fun.
I took racquetball and bowling and jogging. I did the max, the most they would allow you to take, just because I thought it would be easy A's, and it was. And it was better than sitting in some lecture hall. Sure. Nothing like getting sweaty before going to a classroom full of strangers. That's always great because you don't smell in college, obviously.
Just a quick update on the way out of this segment here. My grandma says she has never heard the story about kids wetting their pants.
Oh, she just made that up.
So not sure where I heard that, but I'm going to stand by it until somebody tells me it's not true. We're going to assume that happened.
You know, this is what happens. I mix up my stories. In the future, I'll be 65 and I'll say, I worked with this guy that said he wet his pants watching Snow White. His name was, I think, Wiggins. And then I'll just misremember this complete segment. Thanks for that. When we come back, a few dating and marriage stories that make me feel way out of touch. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
One bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. Another one bites the dust.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. This is a place for people to come together. Right here, right now. Make your voice heard. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
Okay, Jimmy, I want to read you a quote. This is a pitcher, Steve Klein, after a rookie hit a home run off him and then flipped his bat. Steve Klein said, end quote, "That's Little League."
I got every stitch of that ball.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Darling.
And I'm Jimmy Rollins. Check out Unwritten from Odyssey and Major League Baseball. New episodes start May 18th and drop every week throughout the Major League season. Find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 877-560-8555. 877-560-8555 or visit sickvets.com. That's sickvets.com.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here. It's one in, one out.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out, so please visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
CherryKilling.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Hannah, welcome to the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
I'm excited to be here. I figured I had to come in because I was done hearing about fart spray and glitter bombs and whatever else.
You're going to tell
guys
Annie
are
on us?
talking about. Yeah,
I'm telling
maybe.
Annie. Wait till she comes back.
Don't tell mom.
Fart spray is one thing. Usually when girls aren't around, guys don't talk about glitter bombs or glitter at all. It's just not
Are you
usually
sure
a topic
about
that comes
that?
up. But you could check the tape and prove us wrong today.
Well, I wanted to bring up this one story, and I think we all approach it maybe a little bit differently. If you have kids, if you're married, or if you're dating, different parts of your own life, you may look at a story a little bit differently. So I was on Reddit, and I saw what was supposedly a feel-good video, which is a girl bringing home her first boyfriend to meet her parents. And
That's always an event.
It was a Ring camera video. And if I had to guess, she looked about 15 or 16. He looked about 25. He looked like he's the type of guy that bought beer for the kids, you know. And so they show up and she is just ecstatic. Like, oh, Mom, you won't believe it. Here's my boyfriend.
Oh, no.
This is great.
Hi, Mommy. Look at those. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
This is my Oh.
So she's all giddy, like, oh, Mom, this is my boyfriend. I really believe there's about 10-year difference between the two. And he shows up to meet the parents wearing a Playboy shirt.
Oh, after he's already like 10 years older than her?
I really think, I don't know how old they actually are, but just by eyeballing him, he's way older than her.
All right, there's
and
like
she looks to be a minor.
5 red flags already.
Whoa, yeah. No kidding.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because everyone that was watching this video said, oh, this is so sweet. I'm so happy for her. You go, girl. They were all so complimentary to this girl. I thought, no, like if I'm the dad, I am kicking this dude out of here and saying, you better not call my daughter again.
I don't
what
even care.
in the world is going on here?
Age aside, you show up wearing a Playboy shirt to meet your girlfriend's parents for the first time. Don't do that. Don't do that. I got so mad. I'm treading in dangerous territory here because I have no idea who, especially like Hannah, I don't know how you're going to take this, but
I'm scared.
I would get so mad when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school when the seniors or people who had graduated were dating girls my age. I'm like, look, there's a dating pool here that is limited. There are only so many girls here, and you're taking them out of our pool.
Yeah.
So
that is
leave us
messed up.
alone, right?
You're playing game theory.
Oh man, dude. And that's like a problem now. These girls are interested in older men who are well established, have great careers, jobs, and stuff like that. And these are 20-year-old girls dating like 40 and 50-year-old men because they're in good.
Has that always
No, this is like a new
hasn't that always been the case?
No, this is kind of a new phenomenon, and like younger guys, it's something to do with dating apps and social media and stuff like that. Is what they were pointing out.
Those dating apps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
Hannah, do girls not pay attention to things, little details like this? Is this just like a dad thing where we recognize this as guys as being, oh boy, red flag? It's completely oblivious to girls.
If a woman has self-respect and or morals, she will pay attention to this. I don't understand the people in the comments of this video who are like, oh, you go, girl, whatever. No, that's not okay. That's a red flag. That's not a good look. I'm not okay with that.
Maybe it's just a standard response. Maybe it's just anytime anybody sees something nice now, they're just saying, oh, cool. Like anytime I see a girl post a picture of herself, I always say, this, beautiful inside and out.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Ryan.
Isn't that what you're supposed to say? I'm just trying to say what you're supposed to say, but I realize that it comes off as creepy for me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Beautiful inside and out. Every time.
I think this generation is all like girls support girls, yada yada. Well, you should not be supporting your friend or whoever if she's making poor decisions like that.
Ooh,
she should have a better compass than to bring home a guy who's wearing a Playboy shirt and or who is much older than her. I'm not for the age gap thing.
No, this is an era of people that enable. Oh, you be you, you do you.
Yeah, I'm not for that. I'm not for that.
Listen, Hannah, you may be a rarity among those your age, which is awesome. You're on the right side of that. But let's bring up another story from Reddit in another way that I thought I was way out of touch. So it's a story of a man who went to the Philippines to find a bride about half his age. We're talking like, 25 and 55. We're a huge age difference. So he goes out there to get the dad's permission to bring her back with him to the United States to be this Filipino bride. And on the Reddit page, everyone was congratulating him. We're so happy for you. This is wonderful. We're so glad that you're getting married. What a wonderful blessing it is for you and your wife. And I'm thinking, if I was this guy's friend, the first thing I would say is, you are insane. Do not buy a mail order bride. What is wrong with you? So, all right, let's look at it this way. Am I just out of touch, or is this just okay now because of 90-day fiancés and such?
Yeah, mail order brides are super cool now, Ricker.
they're in.
Wait, what did you say the ages were? He's 55, she's 25?
Yeah, roughly. That was it. There was
I
about
feel like
half
it would
her
be
age.
more of like guys being like, oh yeah, look what you pulled or whatever. But from a girl's standpoint, that's terrible.
Oh, man.
What
She's obviously doing it for
okay, so obviously it changes once you get into adulthood that you can date adults differently. What was the original ages of the two people from the first story, Wrecker? It was 15
I was
and
just
25.
eyeballing it.
Something like that?
It was something like that. Yeah.
So if
it
you're
looked like he was buying them beer, essentially.
let's split the difference and say 17 years old. How much older can you date when you're that age? You would know best because you're closest to the age. Like, what's appropriate? And this sounds creepy coming from me, but I'm just asking.
Well,
Ryan's like, well, I've got a daughter. So
being in high school is a big thing. I don't think if you're in high school, you need to be dating outside of high school. Like, you don't.
What
need
if you're
to
a
be,
senior though, and you're dating a freshman in college? See, that seems fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you're a sophomore, you shouldn't be dating a 23-year-old welder or something.
I agree.
I have this like vision in my head of being at prom and someone brings this date and he just walks in. You're like, okay, you have a 401k. What are you doing?
That is what I'm looking for. If you have a 401k, you cannot date in high school. I'm looking for something concrete that you can say that's the rule.
I guess if you're 17, the highest range would be like a sophomore in college, maybe. I don't know.
That sounds fair.
This is not my realm, but I don't really know.
Like, to me, I wonder how much of it would apply to like you started dating in high school and then they graduated, but you're continuing to date,
Yeah.
So like if you have a freshman who's dating a junior, is that weird? And then, they each graduate and advance in grades until that that freshman is now a senior. And then that junior is well out of
if this
college.
was like our grandparents' generation, they'd be married by then.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It wouldn't matter. And it would be a whole different scenario. I think after you hit 21, your group of people you hang out with change. So that kind of corrects itself for the most part. But if you're still trying to like is it Matthew McConaughey in Fast Times at Ridgemont High or whatever, where he's like, oh, I keep getting older and all the girls stay the same age. When you're that guy, watch out for
don't
that.
Be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that
Yikes.
guy. One last thing in talking about marriage, Hillary Clinton was speaking to CBS's Norah O'Donnell and about her marriage advice. I don't know if I would take marriage advice from Hillary Clinton.
I don't want that.
All right, let's listen to some of this if we could.
The gutsiest thing I ever did privately was stay in my marriage. It was not easy, and it was something that only I could decide. And then in my public life, running for president, I mean, it was hard. It was really hard. And it was, trying to be on that tightrope without a net and nobody in front of me because it hadn't been done before.
I guess I was surprised that you said that staying in your marriage was gutsier than running for president.
Well, it was in terms of my private life. It was really hard. And as you know, everybody had an opinion about it. People who I'd never met had very strong opinions about it. And it took a lot of, honestly, prayer and thoughtfulness and talking to people I totally trusted to really think through because it was all being done in public, Nora. So it made it even more painful and difficult, but I have no regrets.
Okay. So I think obviously the question here is, would you want to be married to Bill Clinton?
That's a great question. Hannah, you go first.
No, that's a hard no. Yeah, Hannah, go ahead.
I'm not answering.
Oh, you're not going to
Obviously not.
I think that honestly is one of the most candid things I've ever heard her say.
Yeah, for real.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded like some real honesty, even talking about how it's even harder because it's playing out so publicly. I get that. I mean, not that I get that, but I hear what she's saying, and we all watched it happen. So that was one of the best clips I think I've ever heard from her.
Don't try to humanize Hillary Clinton here.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, because, I've so cut ties with her a long time ago. She could even say something reasonable.
Oh, we still text, but
oh yeah, is that right?
Yeah, we still text, but it's not what it used to be.
How often do you actually see politicians' spouses divorcing them in scandal? That doesn't happen too often, right? For the most part, they stay together.
No,
from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Missouri, we just watched the Senate race that had a big divorce in it. So
right, I guess that's true.
Don't get me started on the Missouri Senate race. You know how I
don't you dare
like to talk about that.
Don't mention Eric Schmidt, or we're gonna go way long here. Hannah's gonna go. Yeah.
What's she doing? She's texting Bill Clinton right now?
I don't know. I don't know what she's doing.
No, I was on the live stream on YouTube.
Oh, okay, making some messages there. So yeah, Hillary Clinton, Brian, you made the right point there. That may be one of the most humanizing moments I've heard from her when you're not used to that sort of thing. So please don't let that be your way of kicking the tires of considering getting back into politics.
The minute she hears somebody say, "Oh, that actually made me like her a little bit," she's gonna go, "Oh yeah,
I'm in.
I'm back in. We're back in the game, baby."
Super PAC is already being formed.
Yeah.
One more sleazy dating marriage thing. Can I play a clip that was trending earlier from Howard Stern, 2001? Do you know the situation between Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar? The Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Was that when they did that movie Cruel Intentions or whatever?
Well, here's what ended up happening in 2001. You have both of them very well known. Freddie Prinze was very well known at the time. You know, they're kind of like these, stars that looked really good together, right? So power couple type of deal. So they get married, and Howard Stern was berating Freddie for getting married at the age of 25. The reason why this was trending is because some people are looking back at this and saying, "Hey, Howard, you made a bet with them." And the bet was, Howard said, "This ain't going to last more than 10 years. I'll bet you $1 million." And now they are 20 years later, still married and happily married. So some people are saying Howard Stern owes Freddie Prinze and them $1 million. That is the headline. The subtotal to all of this, the subline, is how creepy Howard Stern sounds talking to a 25-year-old that just got married. So I want to play this for you, and I want you to listen to just what a sleazy, crummy guy Howard Stern is talking to a celebrity this way after they get married.
So you don't cheat because you're 25 and you've always had hot chicks. What are you going to do when it's 10 years with the same chick? You haven't been married yet.
I'm all good, man.
You're going to cheat.
No, I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You're going to end in divorce.
No, I'm not.
Men.
I appreciate the concern, but I promise I'm all good, man.
At 25, you think you know more than me.
No,
I'm 47
just saying I'm
years
all
old.
good. I know myself.
Not going to work for you. Who do you think
You
you
have
are?
so much faith in me.
Look
Thanks
at
very much.
who do you know in Hollywood that has a successful marriage? Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward? Okay, he was
Kurt
married.
Russell.
Yeah, they don't live in Hollywood.
They're not
Kurt
married.
Russell, Gilly Horn aren't married, and they just shot a picture of him in the Inquirer coming out of a brothel or something, right?
Yeah, you're gonna go to hookers.
You're going to go to hookers. You know how demeaning that is?
Yeah.
All right. So all the bet aside, how
Blech.
creepy and sleazy is Howard Stern for bringing that up to him being a newlywed? Isn't that gross?
That's disturbing. Howard Stern is the worst. Always has been the worst.
You know what, though? He chose to go on the show. You know what you're walking into.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm defending Howard Stern, but you know what you're getting into if you go on
He
Howard Stern.
really was pressing it though. Like
He did.
the celebrity you could tell was just like, ha 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 ha. And Howard Stern would not let go. I didn't like
Well, here
that
they
clip.
are 20 years later, still happily married. And the reason why that clip is trending is because immediately after that, he says, I'll bet you $1 million you're not married in 10 years. So now they're saying Howard Stern should pay up
Oh, yeah.
based on
Legally
that
binding.
offhanded comment. Yeah, legally binding on the radio
It's
show.
got to happen.
But if anything, it just shows you that the standard is not there anymore. Like if back the way radio was like in the 90s, in the early 2000s, compared to the way entertainment is today, it doesn't hold up. A lot of these shock jocks look absolutely terrible. And don't even go back and listen to Howard Stern. It's surprising to me that he hasn't been easily ran off. But I think mostly because the satellite radio saved him and he can continue on with this big fat contract that way. He doesn't really have to be held accountable. But man, does it sound creepy listening back to that.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
10 years plus interest. That's a good point. Whoever texted that in
Gee
there.
Whibs.
You know him?
Yeah, he comments on our stream every day. He's great.
Awesome. Good to hear that. Thanks, Hannah, for this. And again, I think you get a free pass next time you want into the He-Man Woman Hater Club.
Great. Can't wait.
Anytime you want. I'm sure you'll use that soon. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. The Mark Reardon Show.
Gene Evans. They don't want to talk about rising crime. They don't want to talk about this giveaway of $10,000 paying off student loans. There's so many things that they don't want to talk about, so they keep shifting it back to Trump.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, it's that time of the year. It's the beginning of September. Therefore, we're looking ahead at fall now. I don't act like you haven't been doing it, but look ahead to your schedule and schedule out your 6-month or year cleanings. If you haven't done that yet, Fountains Family Dentistry is a great place to do that. They are in the Metro East, so if you're on the Illinois side, highly recommend that you make them your dentist, make them your one-stop shop for everything you need. Get your cleanings there, but then if you ever have any dental emergencies or you need a sleep apnea retainer like I have, they're great for that too. And they make it convenient for you to make an appointment for yourself or your whole family. That's why they're called Fountains Family Dentistry. Go to fountainsfamilydentistry.com. Get their phone number there. Like I've said many times before too, they are open late on some days. They are open early on some days. And that is all for your convenience. So if you're staring down the end of the year and you're saying, oh, I haven't made my appointment yet, now's the time to do that because your benefits run out at the end of the year. Go to fountainsfamilydentistry.com. They are in Fairview Heights, Illinois, fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low fixed rates.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. You can offset today's high prices by using the low interest equity in your home to pay off credit cards, make home improvements, or simply put cold hard cash back in your pocket.
Start saving money and skip 2 mortgage payments. Call 314-567-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Landing, join my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Ever wonder what it's like to play in an MLB game? Play Loud is your exclusive look into the fun of the game as we mic up the league's biggest stars and follow them with dedicated cameras both on and off the field. Watch game time reactions to some of the biggest plays and follow your favorite players as they chat in the dugout with their teammates between innings. You never know what you're going to see or hear. It's baseball like you've never watched before. Tune in for new episodes of Play Loud only on the MLB YouTube channel.
I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group. I'm proud to say we are a family business.
Through innovative financial tools, my nephew Bob and I are committed to making sure your retirement nest egg is kept safe from market declines. As a matter of fact, we have never lost a dime of our clients' money, and we won't lose any of yours either.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, and the secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. As we look ahead at the likelihood of increasing volatility in the market, it's important that you protect your nest egg from market losses, as that's the engine that drives your retirement income.
Our family would like to help your family retire comfortably and keep your retirement safe and secure. Call us now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 36 years. Call us now, 314-993-9494, or online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The markets came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed and we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Cherry Kelly, man, CherryKelly.com. Give him a call, even though it's late, CherryKelly.com. Cause Jerry Kelly's always open up until late. They're certified technicians, I've been told, will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. CherryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. CherryKelly.com.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Summer items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 53 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Back in the car and back on the road. We're with you. Dependable traffic with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Jolene, 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 Jolene.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Please don't take my man.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Jolene, Jolene. Please don't take him just because you can.
You ever heard the slow down version of that song?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. So someone flipped the switch, and again, I don't know my records well enough, to 45 or whatever, but they essentially slowed it down, and it makes the song sound completely different, but just as good. It's a really amazing. Dolly Parton has a fantastic voice. Even slowed down, it sounds great. I would encourage you to check that out sometime. Also, there's a feel-good movie called Hachi I would encourage you to see that I think you would really like.
Yeah, as long as it's going to make me walk away feeling like there's a jump in my step.
As long as it's not a sad story about a dog.
Yeah, I'll
watch it. You'll feel great after. Oh, it's fantastic. It'll make you feel really, real good. By the time you end up watching that movie and towards the end, you definitely won't be crying for an hour straight. Just be mindful and let me know and report back after you watch it. So there's a story that came out last week, not last week, but a couple of weeks ago. In fact, in California, there's some stores that have been testing this out. Whole Foods, which I don't shop at because I'm a discount shopper and I'm cheap. And I can't imagine spending Whole Foods prices. Like, I can't imagine going up to the counter and seeing how much it costs to buy foods at Whole Foods right now, since all foods are super expensive. I don't know why I would go to an upscale food place. But they rolled out something, and they rolled out palm scanning technology. So if instead of you paying with a credit card, you could tell Amazon, here, I want you to take my unique palm print and use that as my now credit card. So I'll just scan my hand when I'm done shopping, and then we'll just take the food out after that. What do you guys think? Would you give up your palm print to Amazon for convenience?
No.
I'll say no, but I already do my thumbprint on my phone. And
do you now?
I do. I did that when I was doing Uber because it was a lot easier to get in the car and just get going instead of typing in the password. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say no. I'm saying I'll never do that yet. I already did a little bit of it. So I'm a hypocrite.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
I am so security conscious when it comes to that. And I try to eliminate as much as I humanly can. If I don't have to give a biometric anything, then I won't. I don't do the thumbprint. I don't allow my family members to do that sort of thing. I have to coach my family members, and I tell them, don't even do that DNA testing thing, because by default, you're essentially giving up my DNA through it. So please don't do it, because you're giving up all your family members, because we're so biologically connected. I have to try to coach other people not to voluntarily give this up. And what do you think Amazon's going to do with this information? Do you think that it's only going to be used as a password, or do you think potentially it's going to be a database, and sometime down the line, they're going to have a very important piece of information on you that will be used against you? I don't know exactly how, but it'll be used against you. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I naturally don't want to do it, but I also know that if it becomes the most common thing, most people will do it, because that's the way it's always happened.
They're going to be asking for blood at some point. Oh, no. Listen, everyone's doing it. It's just a little pinprick, and then they'll take the blood, and then they'll just be able to use that blood anytime you need something. That's the best way to stay secure. That's what I'm sure they're going to move towards, because they're going to say, no hacker can replicate your blood. So just give us a little blood.
Yeah.
That'll be it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it that much? See, here's the thing about that one. Is it that much more convenient to scan your palm than it is to just scan your credit card? I don't get why it's not even that big of a deal. I mean, it's not saving you that much time.
Yeah, and you can disconnect yourself from a credit card and get a new one, but you can't disconnect yourself from your palm unless you chop your hand off.
Right.
And then what happens if you lose your hand? Oh, this is going to be a tough one to recover. We're going to send a security alert to your other hand to prove it's you.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? And if there's a freak accident, can you use your foot? Because if not, you're probably discriminating against those without hands.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
the footprint.
You know what drives me crazy is that I have gotten used to using the thumbprint on my phone, and if your hands are wet at all, you can't do it. And if I'm outside working or something and it's raining, because I've had problems with my basement flooding and stuff, so I've been outside a lot when it's raining and doing stuff, and using that as a flashlight, especially if it's dark, you cannot turn on your phone without going through the whole process if your hand is wet or your phone is wet.
Mm-hmm.
That's not exactly the answer to your question. It's just a concern of mine.
That you won't be able to pay at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
How expensive is Whole Foods right now with how inflation is hitting? And the grocery stores are already crazy expensive. We're already paying more for food than we've ever paid in our lives. How much do you think Whole Foods have been hit by this? If you walk out of there, do you have to get a loan to shop there anymore?
Yeah, I used to go there about 10 years ago. Not often, but once every maybe twice a year, I'd say, and get certain things that you couldn't get anywhere else. And I'm sure that's still the case, but this was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You had to go there to get things like almond milk. Now you can go anywhere and get a lot of the stuff that used to just be at health food stores, because they've diversified so much at other grocery stores. So I don't ever go to Whole Foods anymore.
How do you get milk out of an almond, by the way?
You got to squeeze it really hard.
Yeah.
The tiny little nipples.
The only way I would be able to go to Whole Foods and get food is if somehow I went dumpster diving and I got it out of there, because there's no way you'll find me paying for food at Whole Foods. We did, by the way, when my family and I went to Disney, we stayed at a resort and Whole Foods would deliver to your room. So we ended up purchasing, I think, a half a dozen hard-boiled eggs, some dry cereal, a little bit of milk, and a couple of snacks, and I think it was $80 for those items. It was so expensive.
Oh my gosh.
It was unbelievable. But when you go to Disney, you've gone through the conclusion that you're just going to spend more money than you ever imagined. So it's just naturally, you're like, okay, $80, I guess that's how much it is.
Yeah, I haven't even been to Trader Joe's in years. And I used to really like that store. They used to have a lot of stuff. Actually, they probably still do. You know what the key is, and you'll know this, Ryan, is that once you have kids, you just can't make frivolous trips anymore. Everything you do has to be very deliberate.
Yep.
So,
and when you go to Trader Joe's, there's always an added bonus. You're going to get a dent in your car. The parking lots are always the worst. And someone's going to hit your car, because it just naturally, that's what goes down. Well, I'm Ryan Recker, and you can follow me online if you'd like at Ryan Recker. Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook would be very nice, and I enjoy these fill-in opportunities. You guys make it a very, very fun. He-Man Women Haters Club today, I think, will be officially adjourned, because I believe Annie is back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Recker.
All right. Mark Reardon in just a couple of minutes on 97.1 FM Talk.
What do you